friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction live stream number 28. Day in the neighborhood, my brothers and sisters. Welcome in once again, my friends, for another good live stream on another Saturday. Hope y'all doing excellent out there today. And I'm glad that you came on back to the channel once again to help with the bean. Now, first and foremost, my apologies, Bean Team. My apologies, because I supposed to have been started this live stream 30 minutes ago. But I was dealing with technical difficulties with my camera. Like the whole resolution was effed up. The background picture was small and all ugly and stuff. So I had to get that fixed, y'all. Long story short, story long. Long story short, story long. I had to get that fixed. But now I'm here and I'm ready for a great live stream. And we got to get right into it, y'all, because we got to go back to Chilling Scares. We got to check out 2 of his latest videos. Then we got to go to Jose Ortiz from Evil Intentions, my brother from another mother, because I want to check one of his latest videos out that has a very interesting title. Not interesting, should I say crazy? I don't know what to say, man, but it intrigues me. I will say that. So we got to check that out. And then we're going to finish the night off with going back to Ryan from Tragedy Tales. We got to go back to Tragedy Tales, Bean Team, because he dropped a new video. And that video within itself is like 50 something minutes long. You might as well say an hour freaking long. So we got to check that one out also. And we're just gonna have a good time, y'all. We're gonna have a good time, but this is not gonna be a short stream. It's most definitely gonna be a long one. Shout out to the Bean Team. But before we do all that, y'all already know we got to go to the comment section and say, yo, to Canary. What's up, Canary? Happy you are here. It's always my girl, Lively. Hey, what's up, Bean Team? Lively Galaxy, man. Shout out to you. Always here as always. We got M-Flow, another member of the Bean Team All-Stars, who says, hey, everyone, happy birthday to me and Kobe. Hey, for y'all that don't know, long story short, short story long, Stack the Bean. The word bean in my name comes from Kobe Bean Bryant. That's his middle name. I'm like, Kobe is not only just one of my favorite basketball players of all time, or my most favorite basketball player of all time. He is one of my most favorite humans of all time. Like, I grew up on that dude. So happy birthday to you, M-Flow, and rest in peace and happy birthday to Kobe. And we got M-Flow saying thank you to Lavi for saying happy birthday. Canary said happy birthday. And we also have Fantasia Scott in the building. Shout out to Fantasia Scott. I think that's my first time ever seeing you comment. So happy you are here also. Who else we got? We got Southern Girl. Hey, y'all, excited to see another live. Sending love from Tennessee. God bless. God bless you, Southern Girl. You are a dedicated channel subscriber, a dedicated member of the Bean Team, and I'm happy to always see you here as also. And we also got Rock and React saying hi. We got girl Rock and React, Peekaboo Sue saying hi to everyone. And Kylie Nelson 1993 was good, Bean Team. Happy Saturday. Hey, happy Saturday to all y'all, man. We at the end of August, y'all. You know, next month is September, and you know, in September, that's when the weather start changing, and we start going into the different season, going into the fall time. It start getting cold and stuff. Like, I just feel like we in a transition right now. We in a transition, man. The summer is almost freaking over. And we got another member of the Bean Team All-Stars, Red Pill Freedom. Glad to be here for another stream. Hey, shout out to all y'all, man. Shout out to the Bean Team. Y'all show up, y'all show out. Y'all already know I love doing this with y'all, and I love freaking being here. And we got Love Girl 788. Hi, what's up, Love Girl? Love Girl has been a part of our live streams lately too, Bean Team. So like I said, man, shout out to all y'all. Shout out to the Bean Team. But I digress. Like I said, we got to start getting into these videos, man. We have got to start getting into these videos because we got a lot to watch. And the first one that we are going to, and I tend to start these live streams off by going back to this channel I see now. It's starting to become a trend, but it's a great trend to have because I love this channel. And that channel is Chilling Scares. Back to Chilling Scares, Bean Team. And the title of the video is Four Most Disturbing Early Internet Rabbit Holes. Oh, y'all already know how I got this love-hate relationship with these freaking rabbit holes, man. It's like I like going down them, but at the end of the day, I be left like I don't have a clear answer. You know what I'm saying? I really don't know what is right and what is wrong, what's the truth and what is false. But the rabbit holes are great to go down, especially when we get it from Chilling Scares. And I'm ready to get into it. But before we get into it, Bean Team, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need, please. We going back to Chilling Scares on a live stream on another Saturday with the Bean Team. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's go. And before we go, Livey, Canary, M-Flow, Red Pill, Rock and React, somebody let me know if you can't hear the audio. Let's go.
SeeMeRot.com. In February of 2004, a user on a now outdated message board asked other members about a strangely morbid site they recently came across. The post read, SeeMeRot.com. Is this coffin webcam real? I recently visited www.seemerot.com, which is a live webcam inside a coffin that is taping a woman in her 40s who passed away from natural causes. Something isn't right here. They claim it's real, but there is very loose wording under the disclaimer. Someone please help clear this up. Is it a hoax? There seems like there are too many loose ends here. There has to be more to the story than this. Visiting this site today leads to an Australian fashion and lifestyle blog that has nothing to do with what this post was talking about. Fortunately, this domain has been extensively archived by the Wayback Machine over the years, allowing us to go back in time and see how it used to look in August of 2003. And sure enough, it was just as bizarre as the OP mentioned in their post. Its logo was the site's name over a picture of a coffin, with an ominous caption tagline reading, "Being dead and buried doesn't mean you can't have friends over." Below this was a supposed live view from within a coffin, featuring two cameras pointed at the deceased face and feet. Live streaming video over the internet wasn't really a thing back then, so these were more akin to images that were updated periodically. These images were too low res and hard to decipher, even for 2003 standards, hinting that this whole thing might have been nothing more than a hoax. But less than a month later, the site's owner replaced them with a much clearer picture of the person in the coffin. It showed what was supposed to be the final resting place of a young woman in a light blue button-up shirt. This new feed also refreshed every 10 seconds with an updated picture. However, the most disturbing part of this website wasn't the coffin stream, but the description beside it. It opened with the site's owner providing a detailed play-by-play of what exactly they did to get this live preview, stating, "Welcome to SeeMeRot.com. This site is dedicated to all who have gone before us. 2 months ago, we attached the world's first live coffin cams to the interior of our subject's casket. This was done after friends and family had seen the deceased for the last time. We then traveled over 2,000 miles with the casket to the family's chosen burial place, undisclosed to protect gravesite. Having arrived at the graveyard, a small ceremony was held, after which the final preparations were made to our transmitting hardware and lighting units. All went according to plan at first, and the casket was lowered just after lunchtime, April 15th, 2003. Cam tests were carried out at the site and the grave was sealed. We then sent off back to our office in the heart of Seattle." This description ended with the site's owner urging readers to contact them if they wanted a coffin cam for their loved ones as well. So the whole—
See, that's the thing that's throwing me off, Bean Team. The word coffin cam is crazy. Like, that is just crazy to be. Coffin cam, a coffin camera in your coffin after you dead to just record you being dead for your family. Like, if somebody was to come to me and offer me that, I'll be like, what the fuck wrong with you? Why you think I want to see one of my loved ones freaking deceased inside their coffin? Why do I just want to look at that? Like, this is crazy, man. Canary says, bro, why even visit a website like that? SeeMeRot.com. That is a crazy website, man. Canary, there's a lot in this world I don't get at all, man. Saying so many weird things out there. And this is most definitely another weird one.
The whole purpose of this site appeared to be an advertisement for their disturbing service, which left visitors with more questions than it answered. Like, who in their right mind would want to see the decay of their friends and family after their passing? But while people were figuring that out, SeeMeRot.com became a phenomenon on the early internet, with people talking about it on forums, prompting even more flock to the site out of sheer curiosity. It even got picked up by mainstream media like the QI, or Quite Interesting show from the UK. The biggest question most visitors had, however, was whether it was actually legit. Were these images really from the inside of a coffin? Well, as it turned out, SeeMeRot.com was nothing more than a hoax. Some savvy users quickly figured out that the live preview wasn't live at all. Instead, it was the looping GIF of a still image that went in and out of focus to emulate a live digital camera from that era. This also explains why the supposed body didn't change one bit in the 10 years the site was up. But
you know what? I'm happy that this shit a hoax. Long story short, story long. I'm happy that this is a hoax, man, because like Lively said, saying so many weird things out there. And yes, I'm pretty sure it's something out there like this, but at least for this particular freaking segment or case or video that we watching, that this is not real. Oh my God.
this begs the question, why? Why would someone go through the effort of setting up a whole website centered around this false premise? The creator even went as far as to add a legal section with disclaimers about how this was all being done with consent, all in an effort to make it seem more legit. One of the first explanations that comes to mind is that this was an art project of sorts. Though a closer look at this site suggests that its creation was driven more by profit than by artistic intent. You see, this site has had advertisements on its homepage, often for adult content from its inception, something that was very common in the early internet days. A site called the Museum of Hoaxes even managed to track down the site's registration address to some adult business in West Hollywood, California. Put simply, the creator of SeeMeRot.com created this hoax to entice visits from around the world and then leverage those visits to earn money from sponsors. As for the images featured on the site, who these people are is still unknown. But they were likely taken by the creators themselves, possibly one of their friends, as I wasn't able to find any record of them on the internet from before the site went up. SeeMeRot.com was ultimately shut down in 2013. It has since changed owners multiple times between different businesses, including a coffee company and now a fashion and lifestyle blog from a tiny remote town in Australia. That said, the identity of the original creator remains a mystery to this day. They exhibited some odd behavior over the years, like continuing to update the site to make its, and by extension their coffin cam business, seem more legit, despite the internet figuring things out by 2004. At one point, they even made up a story about the police confiscating their camera equipment. It's now been over 12 years since the original site was up.
Now, even though I said that I'm happy it's a hoax, it's still sad and effed up that the whole reason they doing this is for nefarious reasons. You know what I'm saying, man? I really don't like that part. But I got to give a shout out to Nonchalant, another member of the Bean Team All-Star. Shout out to you for recommending that video that I watched yesterday with from who? Somebody in the comment section told me how to say his name exactly. I think it's Penguin Zoe. But shout out to you anyway for sending that video, man. That was freaking crazy. But you say I'm happy as a hoax too, because I'm eating and opened up the live stream to imagine in the coffin. Yeah, it's like, dude, like that is such a weird thing. Like, why would you be recording a dead body in a coffin? Like, what do you expect to happen? The person is dead. They not gonna move. It's nothing gonna happen. At least I hope it's nothing that will happen. All I'm saying. Canary says, if someone has to watch something like that, they have too much time. They got to seek employment. It's almost like, and I know this may be a bad like analogy or something, but it's almost like when people say they sitting on the floor or whatever and they watching paint dry. It's like watching paint dry. you watching a person dead in a coffin. You know what I'm saying? Nothing is freaking happening, or whatever is happening. If you want to talk about the body decomposing, it's happening so slowly over time till you really can't even see it. Just like if you watching paint dry, you really can't even see the freaking paint dry. I know y'all know what I'm saying, being seen. Lively laughing. I don't know if she laughing at me, she laughing at the video, but whatever. Let's keep going. Shout out to my girl Lively. Good video so far. Shout out to the Bean team.
Mortis.com. In early 2010, a bored 4chan user was typing random URLs in their browser, hoping to stumble across something interesting. And while most URLs they tried were either unavailable or belonged to some business, one caught their attention almost immediately: Mortis.com. It was a completely black page with nothing but a generic login window in the middle. There was no logo or description that could help visitors understand what the website was about. This mysterious landing page, combined with Mortis roughly translating to "of death" in Latin, piqued this user's curiosity. But without a valid username and password, there was nothing he could do to investigate further. With no other option, he turned to 4chan and made a post about the site on its technology board. What he didn't realize at the time, however, was that this would spark a decades-long mystery that remains unsolved to this day. Now, I should mention that while some still remain, a significant portion of the discussion threads and forum posts regarding Mortis.com have since vanished from the internet, including the wiki page users created to keep track of all their findings. Any backups of Mortis.com have also been deleted from the Internet Archive upon a request from the site's owner. In other words, whoever this owner is, they do not want people digging into this. The Mortis.com site also went down sometime in 2011. Possibly because people started trying to brute force its login requirements by using special software to try millions of username and password combinations, so the owner took it down. Now, most of these attempts led nowhere, but a few more tech-savvy individuals managed to extract valuable information from the site's code before it went offline. Most interesting among these was the fact that it was originally registered all the way back in November of 1997 by a man named Thomas Ling. This allowed users to discover 24 other websites under that same name. But instead of offering clarity, the discovery of these additional sites only made the mystery more convoluted. Take Cthulhu.net, for instance, which was named after the eldritch monster created by H.P. Lovecraft. It was just a black page with the text "Dead but Dreaming" written on it, and nothing else. Some users also claim to have seen a version of this site with a white chess piece on it, though I wasn't able to find any archives containing that detail. Either way, the whole thing was deeply puzzling and mysterious. That said, not all sites under Thomas's name were this empty. Exercio.com led to a landing page with 4 different options. Among these, quilts.html was the most notable, as it led to a page about someone sharing pictures of their quilting projects. And while this doesn't look all that important to the Mortis.com mystery at first glance, in actuality, it holds the key to answering everything, or at least getting as close to the answer as we can. But we'll get to that a bit later, because there's another key piece of this puzzle that we haven't discussed yet. You see, while people were snooping around the Mortis.com code and the emails relating to its domain, they discovered terabytes of encrypted data connected to this site, which is an unheard of amount of data for the late 90s. Some individual files in this collection were as large as 39 gigabytes, which got people even more curious about what this site was hiding behind its login page. Theories included everything from a private collection of illegal explicit material to something connected to the 3-letter agencies like the CIA or FBI. However, while people were trying to figure this out, Thomas allegedly contacted one of the investigators and told him to stop trying to hack his site. As the story goes, Thomas also claimed that these files were nothing more than the photos and videos from his wedding, which would have been a reasonable explanation if these files were only a few gigabytes in size, not terabytes.
Not terabytes, freaking bytes. Back in the 90s, being team, I can remember when I was growing up in files, music files, when the computers and stuff first started, we was at kilobytes. Then we went to megabytes. Then we went to gigabytes. Now we at terabytes. So for that to happen way back then, dude, you freaking lying. Like, I know it is something going on with this whole Mortis.com. It is something going on behind the scenes. And it's somebody orchestrating this whole ish, or it could be a group of people. This can be a whole organization, but it is not what it seems. I will say that. It's too many weird oddities in this ish.
More reasonable theory, one that I personally believe in as well, is that Thomas was pirating movies and other media and using Mortis.com to host them online. This way, he could easily consume this media from any device with an internet connection while also being able to share it with all his friends and family. This would also explain why he was so reluctant about people finding out the truth, as it could land him in some trouble with the authorities. Most importantly, this theory isn't completely baseless either. While looking through the data connected to Mortis.com, one 4chan user stumbled upon a 25GB file with a seemingly gibberish name of Drive Crazy 3DBD25.part2. However, looking up Drive Crazy 3D followed by movie brings up results relating to a 2011 film by Nicolas Cage called Drive Angry 3D. With that, we can decipher the rest of the name as well, with BD likely being the short form of Blu-ray disc and 25 referring to its size in gigabytes. Put simply,
now it's starting to make sense, and Lively said it too. I believe this idea. It's pirated movies and junk. Now that could explain it, and I think Chilling Scares is explaining it, because back then, being team, I'm not gonna go on a whole long story short story long, but I was freaking one of those ones going on those different, like, do y'all remember LimeWire? And I think it was Keezy Music, Keezy movies or something, but it was these different things that you can download, and then download pirated movies, video games, and freaking music, man. And I think that's what he was doing, and he was storing it using Mortis.com. It seems plausible. Long story short, short story long.
Mortis.com was likely nothing more than a pirated media server. As for its ominous name, it's possible he chose Mortis just because it sounded cool. The only big questions that remain are, who is Thomas Ling, and why does he own so many empty or just plain strange websites? And the answer to these lies in the quilting page we found earlier. Near the top of this page, there's a logo reading DFI. We can find this same logo in the FAQ section of another website registered under Thomas's name called dentalfillins.com. This was a job board of sorts for dentists that was likely operated by Thomas back in the day. We know this because one of his currently operational websites is thomaslingdds.com, which is a website for a San Francisco dentist named Thomas W. Ling. This quilting page also includes pictures of quilts created for Jeff and Josh for their first birthday. These names also align with two more domains Thomas registered in 2010 and 2014. Lastly, while looking through the many domains connected to Thomas, I discovered a subdomain of Cthulhu.net containing a 7-day travel journal. These entries describe Thomas and his wife Karen's adventures across Asia, including Thailand, China, and Hong Kong. And as expected, Thomas also owns the KarenLing.com domain as well. To summarize, Mortis.com was most probably a personal media server owned and operated by a San Francisco dentist named Thomas Ling. As for the many domains under his name, he acquired them for his businesses, close family members, or for random projects like creating an online travel journal. These were also meant to be a completely personal thing. Unfortunately, someone accidentally stumbled across one of his sites and turned them into a decade-long internet rabbit hole that many are still trying to figure out to this day.
That's one rabbit hole that I think maybe is kind of like solved. Like, the rabbit hole is really not gonna go any deeper than what it was. It is what it is. It was a dentist, and he had all these different websites where he was doing different things and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like Canary says, look at the dentist, dog. I'm gonna lose my teeth. But it may not be that deep, being team. It may just be is what it is, man. But I at the same time, I do kind of still feel like some of those website domains and stuff he was taking control of was for something, I don't want to say evil, but something dark, something deep, mysterious. What the is going on type of ish. You know what I'm saying? That he was trying to keep privately to himself, but it ended up getting out to everybody. I don't freaking know, y'all. I know I'm digging in my theory bag now. I'm digging in my theory bag, and that's what I came up with. That's what I freaking came up with. Lively says, so odd, but they did just stumble upon it, so it could be what it is. Yeah, I mean, You know how sometimes, man, it's easy to look at something that can be explained so easily, but if you don't get the explanation, your mind can just go all over the place thinking it could be this and it could be that, and before you know it, all these different theories and conspiracies have came up with by many of people. But I digress, Bean Team. Let's keep going. Good video. Good video.
Slave Master. In the year 2000, a very disturbing chain message started spreading on AOL, which was a popular instant messenger at the time. If a guy by the name of Slave Master contacts you, do not answer. He has killed 56 women that he has talked to on the internet. Please send out to all the women on your buddy list. Also ask them to pass this on. He has been on Yahoo, AOL, Excite so far. This is no joke. And please send this to men too, just in case. Send to everyone you know. Now, chain messages like this were fairly common back in the day. They were an evolution of the physical chain letters and often contained some pretty out there claims, like telling the reader to forward it to 20 people or something bad would happen in 3 days. This one, however, felt a lot more real, and that's because it actually was. Slave Master wasn't the name of a fictional horror character someone had created to start an internet hoax. Instead, it was the username of John Edward Robinson, the internet's first serial killer. Someone who used early online chat rooms like AOL to find and entrap his targets. One of his first online victims was 45-year-old Sheila Faith. She met John in 1994 in an online chat room, and after talking with her for a few weeks to gain her trust, John promised to pay for the surgery of her 15-year-old wheelchair-bound daughter, Debbie. All Sheila had to do was go to Kansas City where John lived, and he promised to take care of everything else. She agreed and moved to the city with Debbie in December of that year. Unfortunately, that was the last time anyone saw Sheila or Debbie alive. A few years later, John used the persona of Slave Master once again, this time with a 21-year-old Polish immigrant named Izabela Lewicka. Izabela met John in 1997 and began chatting with him almost daily. Over the next 2 years, John showered her with love and convinced her to move to Kansas City as well. Once she was there, he rented an apartment for her and even made her sign a marriage certificate, which he never turned in. But then Izabela suddenly disappeared. And when asked about her by her peers, John claimed that she was caught using drugs and was thus deported back to Poland. Tragically, this lie worked better than he might have expected, giving him the confidence to look for his third online victim just a few months later. And the next
That's what I'm saying, man. Like the dude, like he every time it's crazy too. And I already know y'all know better, Bean Team. Especially in the year 2005. We got to think about that. It was way back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Yahoo Messenger, AOL Messenger. If you know, dial up. You know what I'm saying? This when the internet first started, and people didn't really know like we know nowadays. But man, you can't be trusting nobody on the freaking internet to believe when they send you messages. Oh, I'm gonna take care of you. Just come live with me. Like, no, who the are you, dude? I don't know you from a can of freaking salt. Like what the hell? And it's so sad that these women was actually believing this man. And it's like he got away with it the first time, he got away with it the second time. So guess what, y'all? He gonna do it a third time, and now he is freaking doing it.
person to fall in this trap was 27-year-old Suzette Troughton. She was a nurse from Michigan with big dreams. John realized this early on in their conversation and posed as a wealthy businessman to entice Suzette. He offered her a $60,000 a year job working as his non-existent father's primary caretaker. And to sweeten the deal further, also promised to take her with him on his business trips around the world. This was what finally convinced Suzette to leave her already established life in Michigan and move to Kansas City. But unlike his previous 3 victims who disappeared without a trace, Suzette gave John's name and number to her mother before leaving. Shortly after leaving for Kansas City, her mother also started receiving several typed letters, supposedly from Suzette, reassuring her of her safety. However, her mother found these letters incredibly suspicious, as Suzette had never sent a typed letter before. They were also free of any grammatical or spelling mistakes, which didn't match Suzette's writing style. So she called John, hoping to speak with her daughter. Instead, she was met with hostility from John, who accused Suzette of stealing his money and running away. But Suzette's mother knew her daughter would never do something like this. So she called the police on March 1st, 2000, kickstarting an investigation into John's life. The police in Kansas City, however, were already quite suspicious of him. You see, John was a lifelong con artist who'd been behind bars several times for embezzlement, fraud, forgery, and other similar charges. Most importantly, his name had already come up in multiple missing woman cases. Each time he escaped consequences due to insufficient evidence. This time, investigators held back and quietly kept John under surveillance. And it wasn't long before their patience paid off. One of his would-be victims called the police on him. This gave the authorities a warrant to put John under arrest and search his property for evidence. However, what this search uncovered was far more horrific than anyone could have imagined. As it turned out, Sheila Faith was far from his first victim. She was just the first one he lured through the internet. He'd already lured and killed 4 more women before Sheila, dating as far back as 1984, including...
Oh my God, man. That didn't even cross my mind. I'm just thinking about the women that he luring on the internet. And if he luring, it makes complete sense once you think about it. If he luring women on the internet, of course, more than likely he doing it with the women that's around him in real life. This dude, it's just one thing I got to point out real quick, Bean Team. I got to point it out. Just how history repeats itself. Because we have watched a lot of stories of these people who murder people, and then they use their victims' phones and computers and devices to message their family members as if it was them on Facebook, through text message, through Twitter, X, Instagram, whatever. You know what I'm saying? They use their phones to try to act like that person is still alive, even though they didn't kill them. Well, this same thing was happening way back then when the internet was first starting, through Yahoo Messenger, AOL, whatever they was using. Like, he's sitting up there trying to act like he is her, but the mama knows. The mama knows that is not my daughter who is sending these messages. You know what I'm saying? But I just had to point out how history repeats itself. And I also want to go through some comments real quick. We got Lively saying, God, I remember when that was popular sending this to underscore friends or something bad will happen. I remember that too, Lively, man. The whole underscore friends, just that within itself, I remember that. And I do remember getting those messages. If you don't send this to these many people or something bad go happen. Like, that was a thing for a while back in the day. Red Pill Freedom. I remember my mom disconnected our internet for 6 months when this story broke. She worried I would stumble across a chat from an encounter a pervert. Especially way back then, I can understand your mama doing it. You know what I'm saying? 2025, you be like, what? A mama did that? But no, back then, yes, because we didn't really know what the internet was. We didn't know how far it could go, and it has went freaking far. I will say that. Lively. Yeah, when I was young, I was probably falling for that BS. Maybe not going there, of course, but nah, hell no, nah. Poor souls, though. I agree with that too. I most definitely agree with that, man. Let's keep going.
19-year-old Paula Godfrey, 27-year-old Catherine Clamphead, and 49-year-old Beverly Bonner. However, his worst crime was against 19-year-old Lisa Stasi. John approached Lisa and her 4-month-old daughter after his brother expressed his desire to adopt a child. He lured Lisa with promises of a stable life, only to end her life in a hotel room. He then gave Lisa's 4-month-old daughter to his brother, claiming that she was an orphan, and even pocketed $5,500 from them in legal fees. After his arrest, authorities searched his property with cadaver dogs and discovered multiple oil drums filled with the rotting remains of his victims. He was convicted in January 2003 and received 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole, along with a death sentence for his crimes.
What the fuck? This man was just totally insane. Like Lively say, what the hell? I almost want to rewind that, Bean Team. Like, what the freak? That was very short and sour, not sweet. You know what I'm saying? That was a terrible long story short story long. This dude was a liar and an insane freaking murderer that stored bodies in barrels. Wow.
Markovian Parallax Denigrate. On March 11, 2004, American journalist and U.S. Congress worker Suzanne Lindauer was arrested by the FBI on suspicion of being a spy for Iraq. While doing some research on her, a Wikipedia user named Lazarus666 found a connection between her and a string of strange Usenet posts from 8 years earlier. For some context, Usenet was the precursor to modern internet forums. Discussions on Usenet were divided into several sections called the news groups, similar to subreddits on Reddit. Now, spam on Usenet wasn't exactly rare. Shady companies often made promotional posts in an attempt to market their products for cheap. However, on August 5, 1996, several groups were flooded with tens of thousands of posts that looked like regular spam at first, but a closer look revealed their true intention, or lack thereof. Put simply, these posts were mostly complete gibberish with seemingly random strings of words formed into paragraphs. Now, when Lazarus was researching Susan Lindauer, he came across one of the few surviving posts from that day and noticed that it was made by a Susan Lindauer as well. Lazarus speculated that these might have something to do with Susan sending encoded messages back to Iraq. Looking back, however, this theory makes little to no sense. That's mainly because in over 2 decades, no one has been able to identify any patterns in the posts that might suggest they're encoded. More importantly, if Susan wanted to broadcast anonymous messages, why would she use an email with her own name on it? But regardless of how feasible Lazarus's theory was, it ended up generating a ton of interest in the topic. These strange Usenet posts were later given the name Markovian Parallax Denigrate based on the subject line of the sole surviving post. It also became known as one of the first great mysteries of the internet, with people from around the world trying to figure out what these posts meant. Unfortunately, no one has been able to find a concrete answer ever since. The theory linking them with Susan Lindauer was eventually dropped by internet sleuths as they couldn't find anything connecting the two. It was also discovered that the email address actually belonged to a student of the same name from the University of Wisconsin. However, this also went nowhere as the email address turned out to be spoofed from the start. People then looked into the mystery's title, Markovian Parallax Denigrate, and assumed that it might have something to do with the Markovian process, which is the math used by phone keyboards to predict the next word in a sentence, and even serves as the foundation for modern text-based AI services like ChatGPT. So maybe someone was just experimenting with a new Markovian process-based bot and decided to unleash it on the Usenet. Unfortunately,
Yeah, this goes back to the one I was saying like earlier. Like sometimes, man, you try to look into stuff and think it is something that is not. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. Maybe this was just somebody doing some type of test, and they was coming up with their own autocorrects and Chat GPT ish, and this just was all something, and there was nothing nefarious going on. You know what I'm saying? Even though if you just look at it from the outside and you start coming up with all these theories, jitterbugging, McKinley, break, Newtonian. That means this and that and that and this. You know what I'm saying? If you just try to break this ish down, but maybe this ish is just some ish. And that's just the long story, short story long of it. Let's go. No, before we go, man, I gotta give a shout out to Diana. Diana is in the building, always showing love on the live streams. And we got Lively also saying, strange. I don't know what to say about this one. Me either, Lively. Like, and I don't even, it's one of those ones where, you know what, man, we shouldn't even say anything crazy. Just let it be what it is. It is what it freaking is.
this theory doesn't have much ground to stand on either. The thing is, this mystery only got the Markovian name because that was the subject of the most popular surviving post. This led many to falsely believe that this was the subject for all the thousands of similar posts made that day. But that can't be further from the truth. The word Markovian appeared on the subjects of only 2 posts out of thousands. Even if we assume these posts were generated by a Markovian bot, the theory still doesn't hold up, since the content of these posts was pure gibberish. Despite the fact that Markovian text generators from years before this incident were already capable of producing coherent sentences with relative ease. So, what's the actual explanation here? What was the true meaning behind these thousands of seemingly nonsensical posts? Well, like many other mysteries on the internet, the most likely answer is also the simplest one. Put plainly, this spam of thousands of posts was just that, spam. Something that becomes abundantly clear when you consider that, with a single exception, the only news groups targeted were related to Christianity. In other words, there's a strong chance this was simply an attempt by an unknown user to troll Christian news groups. As for why the spam looked so jumbled, it was likely an attempt to bypass Usenet's spam filters, which typically flagged and deleted repeated messages. That said, this is still just an educated guess, and the rabbit hole can get much deeper the more you look into this. Maybe it did originate as something far more exotic, like a text version of spy number stations, or an attempt to test the security of Usenet by a foreign entity. But unless the original developer comes forward with a confession, the spam theory is the best we have to explain the rabbit hole that is Markovian parallax denigrate.
And I think that really explains it. It goes back to what I was saying, man. It's not that deep. That was just a spam freaking thingy majiggy that they had going on, man. And that just is what it is. And maybe all those words jumbled together was just the way to bypass it back then. Bypass it so you can send all that crazy spam. And they looked like they was targeting Christians. I will say that too. But I don't think it's too deep, Mean Team, on that one. Red Pill says, I didn't know that kind of tech existed in 1996. Learn something new every day. You most definitely learn something new every day. At least I know I do, Bean Team. I know I learn something new every day, especially watching videos like this, man. And yeah, even back then, y'all, Red Pill, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's so much stuff that just shows you how history just continues and will always, until the end of time, repeat its freaking self. Lively says, this is a bit random, but speaking of Christian, I got a shirt at work the other day that said, rest in peace to Jesus. You would hate the Christian church or something like that. I was like, what the fuck? Who made this? Hold on. Said, rest in peace to Jesus. You would hate the Christian church. What the freak is going on over there, Lively? Hey, you do what you do, but I don't know if you should wear that shirt. Hey, I don't want to get all into the religious stuff, Bean Team. I don't even want to go down that road, Lively. So we're gonna leave that alone. We're gonna leave that message alone. Then we got LSB Ice, another member of the Bean Team All-Star, says, yo, what's up, Unc and Bean Team? Shout out to the shelf. Shout out to the shelf stopping through. Hey, LSB, we just here, man. We just started, bro. We got 3 more videos to go. And we're going to go into the next one from
Storm debut.
Chillin' Scares once again, Bean Team.
Storm debut
once again. This video, he just put out a freaking day ago. Let me make sure I hit that like button on it. Take it back. And the title of it is Outdoor YouTubers Who Didn't Return Home. It's so many people who love being outdoors, and I respect it. You know what I'm saying? But it's just, and when I say outdoors, I'm talking about like outdoors in the wilderness, in the freaking mountains by themselves. And I respect it, but it could never be me. Because if I go out there, all y'all that's watching right now, y'all coming with me. Best believe it. I digress. Let's go.
Storm de Buell was a 22-year-old Belgian YouTuber known for sharing his adventures across Northern Europe. He never spoke in any of his videos and instead used the ambient sounds of nature to make his viewers feel like they were right there with him. And while he started uploading videos in August of 2024, he'd actually been solo camping ever since he was just 19 years old. At one point, he even biked over 3,700 miles or over 6,000 kilometers across Sweden all on his own. So he had plenty of experience surviving in the wilderness alone. However, when nature turns unpredictable, even the most prepared adventurers find themselves struggling to survive. Tragically, that's exactly what happened with Storm on the night of October 29th, 2024. He was recording another video, this time traveling through the Jokkmokk region located in the Swedish Lapland, known for its beautiful snowy vistas and frequent aurora sightings. Now, Storm usually parked his car in a nearby town and then ventured into the wilderness on foot with his camping gear. These trips often lasted multiple days, sometimes even a whole week before he made it back. October 29th was the last day of one of these trips. He was making his way back and was only a day's walk away from his car. But it was quickly getting dark and continuing to walk would have been extremely dangerous. So Storm made the decision to set up his tent and sleep for the night. A cold breeze was already sweeping through the region, prompting Storm to mound snow around his tent as a makeshift barrier before going to sleep. Unfortunately, nothing could have prepared him for the extreme weather he was about to encounter. Because just a few hours after setting his tent, the Jokkmokk region got hit by an intense blizzard with winds reaching up to 75 miles per hour or around 120 kilometers per hour. Snow quickly
75 miles per hour
started piling up all around his tent as well. But worst of all, the temperature not only fell below freezing to 21 Fahrenheit or -6 Celsius, the strong wind made it feel as cold as 0 Fahrenheit or -18 Celsius. Maybe he realized the gravity of his situation at this point and wanted to contact his loved ones. Because at around midnight, his friend received a video of him showing his tent getting torn apart by the terrifyingly strong wind, with him stating, "Tonight it's going to get worse, Jesus Christ." He also called his grandmother right after and reassured her of his safety, stating, "It's snowing heavily here, but don't worry, I'll survive, you know." Then, at 2:36 a.m., the Swedish authorities received an SOS call from Storm. He reported multiple injuries, including a broken nose, and requested immediate help. Unfortunately, the strong wind made it impossible to reach him with a helicopter, and the snow obstructed any rescue efforts on the ground. The blizzard eventually subsided at around 10 a.m., and the rescuers rushed to Storm's last known location. Sadly, by the time they found him, it was already too late. The lower half of his body had turned purple due to the extreme cold, and even the blood on his face from the broken nose was frozen solid. Oddly enough, he was found roughly 1.6 miles or 2.6 kilometers away from his collapsed tent. It's unclear if he was forced to ditch the tent after it collapsed or if he set out before that happened. In either case, he was walking towards his car when he likely fell, broke his nose, and then contacted the authorities. The only silver lining in Storm's tragic end is that at least he died doing what he loved, as he told his father when he first started going on these solo camping trips. "Dad, it took me a long time to know what I wanted, but that's what I want."
Man, and that's a hell of a statement right there. Dad, it took me a long time to know what I wanted, but that's what I want. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier when I was saying, like, respect to the people who love doing this ish. You know what I'm saying, man? And if you try to like look at it in try to look at the bright side, you will be like, and I'm saying, at least he died doing what he loved to do. You know what I'm saying, man? He loved to do that. And this is one of those rare tales that shows you just because we always get natural disasters or have seen videos of natural disasters like fires and tornadoes and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But we rarely get the one of like a blizzard, like the snow. Snow can kill you too, not just floods. You know what I'm saying? But snow, it literally can kill you too out there in that cold. And he died frozen, just and it's also so freaking crazy that he was so close to his car. He was almost there. I don't even know if he would have gotten in his car, he would have survived, man. Like that type of snow right there is dangerous as hell. That type of blizzard is dangerous. And like Lavi said, rest in peace to him. Diana says nature will mess you up without hesitation. Like that's true. Like nature has no care in the world. Like nature is gonna be nature regardless. It don't have no sympathy for nobody. Inflow. Damn, Red Pill says, I don't mind camping out in the wilderness, but I will only ever camp in spring or summer, never in fall or winter. It depends on where you are. I will say that it depends on where you are, and I agree with that, Red Pill, because wherever he was at in the winter, he should have never been out there. He should have never been out there. But rest in peace to him. And also, Lively says, see, I like camping when I was little, but we did it at like actual campgrounds with many people, and I couldn't do all that extra or try and survive. Now, yes, now Live, you brought up a great point. Now I understand when you go to the camping grounds and it's like a organized and thing, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But when it's just people just going off in the freaking woods by themselves with no safety, nobody but them, like that's when it get like, man, that's all I can say. Let's keep going.
Hannah Rose Moody was a 31-year-old YouTuber and influencer from Scottsdale, Arizona. And while most of her content on YouTube revolved around her faith as a Christian, her Instagram account posted mostly different content. There, she made regular posts about her hiking adventures across the rocky desert terrain of Arizona. Hitting the trails several times a week had become a natural part of her routine ever since she moved to Arizona 6 months earlier. And May 21st was supposed to be no different. She got up early and quickly drove to the Gateway Trailhead located in the McDowell Sonoran Preserve. She parked her car and began the roughly 4.5-mile or 7-kilometer hike across the Loop Trail. It was a moderately challenging trail with a rocky path and noticeable elevation changes, but nothing Hannah hadn't tackled before. She felt fairly confident she could finish the hike in under 3 hours and even made plans to hang out with friends at lunch. Unfortunately, what started as just another ordinary hike ended with a devastating tragedy. Her friends were the first to sense something was wrong when Hannah didn't show up for lunch on time. She didn't send any messages about running late and wasn't picking up her phone either. It wasn't like her to ghost people out of nowhere. So, after waiting at the restaurant for many hours, her friends decided to check on Hannah at her home at around 7:50 p.m., hoping she was simply resting after a tough hike. But when they arrived at her house, her car was missing from the driveway, the lights were off, and the door was locked. Seeing this, they immediately contacted the authorities. They found her car still parked at the trailhead, and it wasn't long before the search party was looking for Hannah across the Gateway Loop Trail with helicopters, drones, and canines. The search was eventually called off at 11:30 p.m. due to the darkness, and resumed the next morning with even more people partaking in the search. This went on till about 12:05 p.m. when a helicopter pilot made the heartbreaking discovery Hannah's friends and family were dreading all night. Just 600 yards off the trail, rescuers discovered the remains of Hannah Moody lying face down on the desert ground. Hannah was dead, and likely had been for several hours. However, there was nothing that could explain her end right away. There were no signs of foul play, no intoxicating substances were found in her system, and she didn't even have any serious head injuries from a fall or stumble. With that, the only explanation investigators were able to come up with was that Hannah lost her life due to extreme heat. You see, the temperature in the Gateway Trail region soared to over 102 Fahrenheit, or about 39 Celsius the day prior when Hannah was hiking. She likely suffered from a heat stroke and wandered off the designated path in confusion before collapsing and eventually passing away, leaving her.
Oh no, Bean Team. Now see, this is one where I'm about to put my 10-4 hat on. Almost. I will say almost. I'm not gonna jump off the deep end, but I'm gonna kind of put it on. Because I don't know, man. Do y'all really believe that's how she died? From a freaking heat stroke? Or was it freaking aliens? I'm just gonna throw it out there, man. And I know I did jump off the deep end. But I'm saying, man, I don't know if this lady really died from a heat stroke. And I don't even know how heat strokes work and medically and stuff. But this lady was very healthy. And Chillin' Scare said that it was 102 degrees. 102 degrees is hot. Don't get me wrong. 102 degrees is hot as hell. But it be 102 degrees where I live pretty much every day of the week during the summer. You know what I'm saying? At least the heat index, it feels like 102 degrees. I don't know if that's how that lady died, man. I don't know if we can go with that theory. It's a plausible theory because there's really no signs of her being murdered or being attacked or anything like that. I don't know, man. I'm just saying, yes, inflow, man. Maybe we will have a story about this from Mr. Ballin later on where he be talking about the aliens and stuff. I don't know, man. I'm just saying, man. Kadiri said, I know the Arizona heat is a whole different beast. Diana says maybe an insect snake bite. I don't know that didn't show up in the test. Now, Diana, I like that. Now that's a theory that maybe I can get with. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like it's something other than that. I don't know, man. Lively says, yeah, I don't know. I've never been in heat in certain other places, so could be. Not certain, just in other places. I don't know, y'all. I'm not gonna even keep trying to think about it too hard. I'm just saying that lady looks very young and very freaking healthy. And unless she ain't had a freaking ounce of water in days or something, then maybe. Let's go. I'm not gonna keep thinking about it. Let's go.
YouTube and Instagram videos as an unintentional final goodbye to her loved ones. Finn Creaney was a 33-year-old survival expert from the Pitt County area in Scotland. Utilizing the skills he had, Finn operated a survival school in the area called Wildcat Bushcraft, teaching kids general wilderness survival skills as well as bushcraft, which, for those who don't know, includes things like foraging, hunting, and building shelter out of natural materials. The business was also accompanied by a YouTube channel of the same name, where Finn shared his knowledge and experience with the world for free. His content was both informative and entertaining, allowing him to slowly build a small but loyal audience. What these viewers didn't realize, however, was that one day, this very channel would also play a role in Finn's tragic end. Things went south on the 25th of March 2022 when Finn was dropped off at the B873 road near Loch Naver in Sutherland. His goal was to head south and hike the 45-mile distance to the small village of Golspie and make a video about the bushcrafting skills he had used along the way. Now, his family knew—
Y'all hear that? He hiking 45 miles. That is a lot. That is 45 miles?
the journey would take more than a day, so they weren't too concerned when he didn't reach his destination right away. But then 3 days passed, and there was no sign of Finn anywhere. Even more concerning was the fact that he didn't make any contact throughout this time, with every call from his family going straight to voicemail. So on day 3, Finn's father called the police and filed a missing person report, all while holding on to the hope that his son was simply lost, had broken his phone, or was just taking his time on the hike. Sadly, that couldn't have been further from the truth. In reality, Finn had somehow vanished from the area without a trace. And despite the police spending months searching the area surrounding Loch Naver, they couldn't find a single clue about his current whereabouts. Finn was even featured on a British unsolved mystery-style show about missing people called Vanished, but that also led nowhere. However, even after a year of fruitless searching, his father Mark didn't give up and kept looking for his son on his own. And after 19 months of following this same routine, he finally found the first real clue: Finn's backpack, partially hidden in the bushes along the bank of Loch Naver. While Mark never disclosed exactly what was inside, it gave him and the rest of Finn's family reason to believe that Finn had tried to take a shortcut across the loch and ended up drowning by accident. So, after searching for his body for a few more months, they made the tough decision to stop searching and accept the fact that Finn was truly gone. That said, many on the internet find it hard to believe that Finn actually tried to swim across the Naver and lost control in the process. Many asked why a professional survivalist would make such a rookie mistake, especially when he still had a multiple miles-long journey ahead of him, even if he had somehow made it across the Loch Naver. This doubt has given—
And I questioned that too in the back of my mind. I was thinking, like, this dude, why would, if you just look at that amount of water he gotta swim across to get to the next piece of land, like, dude, I don't know if it, like, he is experienced with this ish. Why would he do that? Now, see, oh my god, now my whole conspiracy hat is just on, Bean Team. I'm starting to go deep up into the bag again of just thinking everything is more to it, because this story right here seems like it's more to it than we seeing too. I don't know.
Rise to many alternative theories that attempt to explain his mysterious disappearance. These range from fairly out there speculations like Finn doing this to fake his own death and build a new life, to some truly chilling hypotheticals like Finn going into the loch on purpose to end it all. Unfortunately, there just isn't enough evidence to confirm or deny any of these theories. What exactly happened to Finn remains a mystery to this day. Andrew Cross was a 36-year-old outdoor YouTuber from Grand Junction, Colorado. His channel, Desert Drifter, featured content that could only be described as archaeology mixed with exploration. He visited and made videos about any place he found interesting, from thousands-years-old stone walls to abandoned German spy caves from World War II. Beyond just being educational, his videos also boasted top-tier production quality, helping Andrew amass a massive audience in just 14 months on YouTube. Most importantly, his viewers loved his content and eagerly waited for the next upload. But then Andrew suddenly stopped posting after his upload in January 2025. Some assumed he was simply taking a break, while others figured the delay was due to his next video taking longer to produce. It wasn't until the 2nd of February that viewers received the truth from Andrew's wife, Evelyn, and it was far worse than any of his fans could have imagined. Andrew had gotten into a horrible car accident. He was waiting at a stoplight on the intersection between First Street and North Avenue in Grand Junction while on his way back from shooting a video about the Bears Ears National Monument in Utah on January 31st, 2025. When, out of nowhere, an out-of-control car rear-ended Andrew at an extremely high speed, resulting in his car flipping over and causing severe brain damage. He was rushed to a nearby hospital almost immediately. Unfortunately, it was already too late. He spent over a month in the ICU and was put on life support. During this time, it became abundantly clear that Andrew sadly had no chance of recovering from his injuries. So, on March 4th at around 10:50 a.m., his family made the difficult decision to let him rest and remove the life support system keeping him on the edge of life. This was devastating news for his hundreds of thousands of fans who were blissfully looking forward to his next upload not too long ago. These fans also banded together and raised over $544,000 for Andrew's family in their time of need. As for the person responsible for the crash, named Ragnar Nicholas Crystal, he was arrested 20 days later on February 21st and was later charged with vehicular homicide and driving under the influence. He's still awaiting conviction at the time of writing.
Oh man, these freaking drunk drivers out here being seen. These freaking drunk drivers driving under the freaking influence. If he wasn't drunk, then he was under the influence of something that he shouldn't have been when he was freaking driving, man. Rest in peace to freaking him, man. Oh my God, Lobby. M-Flow. Damn, man. Rest in peace to him. And I gotta say, y'all, it's just dying in a freaking car accident is so scary to me. And the reason I say it's so scary is because it can happen to any of us. Literally, every time we get in our cars and go drive, if we going to the grocery store, if we going to school or dropping our kids off at school, if we going to work, you know what I'm saying? Whenever we get in a car, man, and we driving and there's other cars around us, it's always a possibility that one of them could hit us, and they could hit us in such a traumatic and horrible way where they could end our freaking lives. I don't know, man. Maybe I be watching too many of these freaking videos, y'all, because when I be driving, I literally be thinking about that ish, especially like cars coming behind you. And that's how he ended up losing his life, from a car coming behind him and smashing him to the point he rolled over and freaking had brain damage to the point they had to take him off life support. Like, it can happen to any freaking body, man. It's so freaking scary, y'all. And it goes back to what I say too. When it's your time to go, it's just your time to freaking go. I think that's just the best way I can freaking look at it, man. M-Flow says, man, why can't people just be responsible? I guess M-Flow, just because life ain't perfect. Especially when it comes to the drunk driving, it's like, God damn, man. Like, can you please just be responsible enough for that? But no, it's people out here that just can't do it. Diana says, man, that's so sad. All he did was stop at a red light. Yes, Diana, that's what I'm saying. Think about how many red lights that you stop at every time that you go out driving, and it's a car that comes behind you. What if it one time it's just that car that just don't stop and they keep going? And I ain't even quoting my jiggy right now. I'm being serious. What if they don't stop and they freaking keep going? And then now I don't even want to talk about the rest. We got God Dag, rest in peace. Shout out to you. I think this is my first time seeing you in the comment section, but shout out to you. Lively said, it sucks and it is scary. I agree. Red Pill Freedom says, no excuse for drunk driving, especially in an era of Uber or Lyft. That's a great point too, Red Pill. That is a great point too. Like, dude, it's so easy to freaking just call an Uber. And the thing about Ubers, y'all, because I haven't used them a lot, but I have used them when I had to. Ubers, and I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm the richest person in the world, but Ubers are not even that like expensive to get you from here to there. You know what I'm saying, man? Like, I had an Uber that took me like, I think I want to say like 7-8 miles away from my house, and it costs $15. Like, it's not even that high where people can be like, oh, that's too much. I can't spend no money on no Uber. Like, you rather spend money on an Uber, or you rather put people's lives in danger? Which one you rather do? Spend this $15 or have the possibility of somebody being deceased because of your terrible ass actions? Which one you rather do? Like, I don't know, Bean Team. I'm going too far with it now. I'm going too far with it. Little girl says, rest in peace. Don't trust Ubers. Oh, now little girl finna make me dig in my bag again, because I agree with that too, because we have watched stories about Uber drivers or people getting, but I think that just goes in life in a way. We done watch stories about Uber drive. We done watch stories about Uber drivers getting attacked. Like, it's just life. And I can't say that you gotta trust them, but I don't know, man. I don't even know how to say it, man. I don't even know how to say it. Lively says, or since I don't trust Ubers and stuff, and I don't drink, but I see if a friend or family will get me home. That's another great point too. And little girl, I respect you for saying don't trust Uber drivers. If you don't trust them, then call somebody. Just don't get behind the wheel of the freaking car when you're drunk like that. That's the long story, short story long. Let's cut out all the other stuff and just leave it at that. We can have all opinions on Uber drivers and Lyfts and all that. But the one thing that I know all us agree on, Bean Team, all us collectively as the Bean Team can agree on, don't get behind the wheel of a vehicle when you're freaking intoxicated like that. Also, Lively says, only way I go in a Uber or a Lyft, I gotta have someone with me. Great point too. Great point too. But I digress, Bean Team. We have got past chilling scares, and now we're about to go to the next video. But before we go to the next video, Bean Team, I will be right back. And we are back, Bean Team. We are freaking back. Hope y'all doing good, man. Hope y'all have got whatever y'all may need to, because we're about to go to my brother from another, Jose Ortiz from Evil Intention. Going to Jose Ortiz from Evil Intentions, y'all. And before we get into the video, also God Dad says, anyone open to having anyone open to Stack having a gaming live stream? Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I used to be an avid gamer, but I don't know about that. What kind of games Inflo said? Depends on if he would like to do that. Yeah, I don't know, man. Mostly horror games, the indie ones. Five Nights at Freddy, Bendy, Poppy Playtime, etc. Now, those are some great games, because I will say this, God, Dad, I do watch mostly. Shout out to RDC. Shout out to RDC. I have seen they playthroughs of Poppy Playtime. Also, shout out to Mad Blad. I know y'all probably don't know who that is, but I seen his playthroughs. And I will drop a nugget on y'all, a fun fact, that there are videos of my channel, on my channel, of me playing Five Nights at Freddy, actually gaming. I think I did like 3 or 4 of them, but this was in the infancy of my channel. And those videos you can't even see now. If y'all want me to make them public again, just so you can see it, it was in VR, man. No lie, this is a true story. I still got them uploaded. I just have them private now. But I have actually played Five Nights at Freddy on live stream before. And I want to get back on the inflow because inflow said, get whatever you may need during this break. Yeah, y'all, we had to take a freaking break, man. We had to take a freaking break. Canary said, yo, RDC. Yes, RDC. I am a huge fan of RDC, man. I watch pretty much all their Twitch live streams when they play video games. I don't watch all the ish, but whenever they playing video games, I tend to try to log in. Inflow says, I love watching people play games, but those ones you can get stomped on. Gamers usually edit that stuff out. Yeah, I agree with that too, Inflow. But I digress, Bean Team. We gonna go and get into the next video, man. We are already an hour and 14 minutes coming up on 15 minutes into the live stream. And now we're going back to Jose Ortiz from Evil Intentions because I really wanted to check this video out with y'all just because of the title. Just because of the title, y'all. The title is freaking crazy to me, man. The title of it is Pushed and Cut in Half Over an Earring. The story of Naima, I think I'm saying that right, or Naima Lee. Pushed and cut in half over an earring. Like, we have heard some of the most craziest reasons to freaking murder somebody. Like, we have heard of freaking people getting murdered over Popeyes chicken sandwiches and all type of crazy ish. And I feel like this is one of those ones, man. This is going to be one of those ones. But shout out to Jose, y'all. We're about to check it out. Let me take it back. And let's go.
New York City has one of the biggest subway systems in the world, with 472 stations across the 5 boroughs. Many horrific events have taken place underground, and a lot of those stories have never been told. But today, we take a much closer look at the city's dark underworld. This is Evil Intentions, Subway Stories.
Get whatever you may need.
As you exit, please be careful of the gap between the platform and the train.
At first, witnesses thought the scuffle was a tiff between lovers, but it was a frantic fight for her life, and nobody bothered to help.
20-year-old Naima Lee was born on October 3rd of 1975 and resided in Brooklyn, New York. She resided there with her boyfriend at a basement apartment on Pine Street, located in the Cypress Hill section of the borough. She was a loving and devoted mother to her 18-month-old son, while her boyfriend had a 2-year-old son of his own. Naima held a job as a home attendant at Patient Care, a healthcare company located out in Bay Ridge, and her boyfriend worked for the airline Aeromexico over at JFK Airport in Queens. Both were known to be loving parents and worked very hard to support the kids. Naima was described as a caring, beautiful, and sweet woman, known for her pretty smile and always being stylish, a woman who never had any problems with anyone. It was said that she loved to work and save money, putting her responsibilities and family before anything else. For her, a peaceful night consisted of relaxing at home with her boyfriend, cooking together, and watching their 2 young sons grow up. The little things. They were actively making plans for their future together, one they were very much looking forward to. The young couple were very much in love and doing everything right. Part of the reason they were working so hard was because they were saving up for their wedding. They wanted nothing more than to spend the rest of their lives together and build their family, and they were determined to make that happen. According to her boyfriend, by the beginning of 1996, the relationship was very serious, and Naima already wanted to be married. But they decided they would put it off until her 21st birthday, which would be just a few months down the line. They figured they would just take the time to continue saving and have the perfect ceremony when the time was right. When it came to her boyfriend, he felt blessed to have someone like Naima at his side. He said she was the perfect girl for him, the first person to ever treat him as good as she did. Naima came from a loving and supportive family and had plans of being the same way with the family she was starting to build with him. She and her mother were close, and she would often help her with babysitting, giving the couple a much-needed helping hand while they saved, since paying for a babysitter wasn't cheap. There's also the idea of trusting a stranger with your children, which is hard to do, but it wasn't a
Yeah.
factor when it came to her mother. By all accounts, the couple had every angle covered when it came to work and their kids.
And that's what I was about to say, man. So far, so good. You know what I'm saying? Just a family starting, a couple starting to raise a family, about to get married, saving up the money. Then they so young, everything. The future just looks so bright right now. But just like that, the future can get very dark. It's scary, man. Like it's starting to freaking hurt my heart. And then like freaking Lively says, oh no, she had kids too. That was gonna make this whole story even more sad. Let's go.
Valentine's Day of 1996, the couple went to a shopping center on Liberty Ave in Brooklyn. While visiting a jewelry store there, Naima decided that she wanted to trade in an old pair of earrings and pay the difference to get a new pair that she really wanted, a pair of shiny gold hoops adorned with a heart. Her boyfriend told her that they were really nice, but he had fears that they might attract the attention of some people with bad intentions, since robberies were so common. Unfortunately, just 4 days after making that purchase, those fears would become a reality. On the night of Sunday, February 18th of 1996, Naima left her home in Cypress Hills and started to make her way to Queens, to where her mother resided. It was a trip she often made by subway, but she didn't like taking the trains at night because they could be quite dangerous. Unfortunately, since she worked a late night shift, she didn't have very many options. It was the fastest way to get to where she needed to be, and she didn't have a car. Much like today, it was a time when the entire subway system was often in the news for everything from robberies to assaults and much worse. Her boyfriend felt the same way about her commute. It just wasn't safe. He would end up buying her a silver Mazda 626, a used car that could get her from point A to point B. This way she could get around on her own and not have to worry about the dangers that came with the trains. He bought the car sometime in January, just about a month before this night. The only issue was that the papers showing ownership of the vehicle hadn't come in yet. The couple figured that she would just keep taking the train for the next week or two until everything was squared away with the car and she could start driving. This was a time when services like Uber and Lyft didn't yet exist, and cab services could be quite expensive depending on distance.
It's just so crazy, y'all, that this story he talking about Uber and Lyft, and we just had a whole conversation about that. But this way back in the 90s, man, 96, like it was just cabs back then. But it's crazy, y'all. You see how the world works? You know what I'm saying? And am I crazy, or do y'all see how the world works? You talk about something, then it pops up. Let's go.
At a time when she was looking to save as much as possible, the train was by far the more affordable option. It was about midnight when Naima made her way to the station and boarded her train, transferring to a Queens-bound M train after. The reason being, she wanted to go pick up her son since her mother was babysitting him. She had been working earlier and stopped at home before leaving again to pick him up, so this was the earliest that she could be on her way. The train approached the station and she would get on the first car. The train was filled with other riders looking to make it to their destinations. It was about 12:15 a.m. when Naima was approached by a young man who tried to start a conversation with her. She had no idea who he was, but he kept talking. Within moments, this person whom she didn't know at all was becoming more aggressive with his words and coming closer to her, a little too close. Before she knew it, he was telling her that he wanted her earrings. If she didn't give them to him, he was going to take them. Right there in front of everyone was an attempted robbery in progress. Naima refused to give them to him. She walked down the car looking to get away, but he wouldn't stop coming after her. The two would continue to argue, with the altercation becoming physical and spilling out into the space between the first and second cars of the train, an extremely dangerous spot to be in. The man was now starting to hit her, and she had nowhere to go. She was trying everything to just make it into the next car, but before she could, the man grabbed Naima by her throat and began to choke her, taking a moment to snatch one earring off her ear. When he saw that Naima was trying to fight him off, in front of 2 cars full of witnesses, he used all his might to push her, causing her to fall into the gap between the cars and fall beneath the train just as it was pulling into the Central Ave station. The force and weight of the steel wheels would first crush Naima, and as the train kept going, she was cut in half, and all as could.
Oh my God, man. Like all this over some fucking earrings, dude. Like, who is this guy? Like, are you serious, guy? Like, bro, what are you doing? I didn't know that's how this happened. I didn't expect this to go the way that it went, Bean Team. Like this, man, bro.
Commuters watched in absolute horror. Naima's life was brutally and carelessly ended, and it was all over a pair of earrings that cost no more than $60.
No more than $60. Oh man, this is such a freaking evil intention tragedy tale. What the is going on type of video. That's scary. And another thing I gotta point out is the fact this man ain't give a F either, to the point where he knew there was all these witnesses around, like his people all around them. They's watching him do this ish, and he don't care. You know what? At this point, I don't even think it was really about the earrings. I don't even think it was about the earrings, because the earrings $60. Then I don't even think he thought if they $60, maybe they looked like they was worth more. I don't know, but I don't even know if it really was about the earrings or he was just gone crazy, man. This ish got me going crazy. It got y'all going crazy in the comments. Lively says, damn, that's way worse than I thought. Like, yes, Lively, like, I wasn't expecting it like that. Diana says, I am not risking my life over something like earrings. Just take them. Diana, you always make great points. That's a great point, too. Just take the freaking earrings, bro. But at the same time, I don't think that Naima knew that her stopping him from taking not letting him take the earrings was gonna cost her life. But it's just, oh man, this is we went from 0 to 100 with this story, y'all. I didn't expect it to go here. Canary says the bystander effort is insane. No one stood up for her. Canary was another great point. Boy, Bean Team, y'all make great freaking points. Y'all make me think even more about this crazy ish. All those people standing around and nobody decided to get that man up off her. I was just watching a video from Midwest Safety Today, Bean Team. Listen to me. Long story short, story long. I was just watching a video from Midwest Safety Today where a man was acting a fool in a freaking McDonald's. He was acting a fool. You know what I'm saying? And he got to the point where the people gave him nuggets and he threw the nuggets back at the workers, and innocent, I'm not gonna say an innocent bystander, but just another civilian who was also at the McDonald's ended up knocking his ass out. Long story short, story long, because he was getting to the point where he was gonna go back there and attack the people. I think that was Midwest Safety. It was something like that. But it goes back to what Canary's saying, man. All those people just standing around watching this shit happen. Ain't nobody doing nothing. That is crazy too. Inflow like, what? Goddamn says, greed is never a good thing. It's never a good thing. Lively says, I mean, why would he want earrings? I must have missed it if they said why. Even if he didn't want the earrings, Lively, you gotta think like maybe he was thinking he can sell them, he can pawn them or whatever. But if they worth $60, I don't think they look that expensive. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they look like they was worth more than $60, but how much more to the point where you would want to do this? Like, I don't understand it. That's why I go back to what I was saying, man. Maybe it wasn't even about the earrings. Maybe this dude was just a crazy, you know what, and he just decided to attack somebody. I don't know. Maybe he had a lot of other things going on. Love Girl 788 says, this is why I don't wear earrings anymore. Inflow says, probably thought they were worth more. Yeah, I was saying that too. My girl Kylie says, what we watching, Being Seen? Well, Kylie, right now we on Jose Ortiz, and we have took a long pause because this the reason of how this happened is just blew my mind, and it blew all our mind, man. Like, what? Canary says, if anyone just walked up, I know that his ass would back off. People like him are always are on a power trip. Canary, that's what I was saying. And you said it a little better than me. Maybe it's not even about the earrings. Maybe he just on some crazy power trip, some crazy, I'm just gonna do some evil-ish. I don't care who around, even though all these witnesses around, I'm still gonna carry out what the freak I'm doing. Diana, I think he got mad that she stood up for herself, and that's why he got so aggressive. Yes, the same thing Canary said. The fact there were so many people probably made her feel safe. That too, boy, y'all bringing up some great freaking points. Maybe that's why she didn't want to get her earrings up or felt like she could stand up for herself even more because she know all these people around and none of the people helped her. That is the terrible part. Lively, even if she gave it to him, who's to say he wouldn't have wanted or done more? Unfortunately, you never know. Great point again, Lively. Like, yes, even if she would have gave him the earrings, because I just don't feel like it was about the earrings. This man just wanted to, he just had evil intentions, puns intended. Shout out to Jose Ortiz. He just had evil intentions and he was going to be evil regardless. Let's go, y'all. Let's go.
Once her body went under the train, a trigger went off that automatically activated the train's emergency brakes, but they didn't go off fast enough. A transit officer on the elevated platform of Central Ave saw this man choking Naima as the train was pulling in. Once the train came to a stop, the officer ran on and grabbed the suspect he saw assaulting Naima as he tried to run away. He immediately asked him where Naima was, asking where she had gone. While he had seen them briefly when the train passed, he wasn't yet aware that she had fallen under. Part of her body was just feet away, under him. The man denied knowing anything about Naima, but the officer knew what he saw. It would take just a bit of questioning before he confessed that he was trying to rob her, and during the struggle, he pushed her into the gap, causing her to go under. One of Naima's new gold earrings would be found in the man's coat pocket. Some reports stated that the other earring was found still in her ear, while others stated it was found on the floor of the train between the cars. The incident left onlookers horrified and in shock, with officers wondering if anyone tried to help Naima as she fought off her attacker. But apparently, there were no attempts made by anyone on that train. Some writers who witnessed everything said they assumed that this person Naima was arguing with was her boyfriend, so they didn't want to get involved. But the truth of it all was more troubling than anyone could have ever imagined. The suspect wasn't a man at all. He was a 15-year-old teen from Brooklyn, New York. Not much was known about him at first, but details of the youth's checkered past would soon be learned. In an interview with authorities after the incident, the teen's mother explained that her son had been hospitalized at Kings County Hospital in their psychiatric unit. This is for his history of substance abuse, alcohol abuse, and behavioral problems. He had also made threats to harm himself. He was prescribed 4 different types of medication to help with ongoing mental issues. Those included daily doses of Ritalin and Thorazine to control what some described as an explosive temper. After spending time at the psychiatric facility, he would be assigned to a private doctor, but there was no word on how often his behavior was monitored after this. He often suffered from erratic and violent mood swings, which some felt played a role in him being arrested at a young age. It was said that he had previous charges for assault after slashing a schoolmate. Other charges included robbery, although at just 15 years old, his record was sealed, so no other details were made available. Neighbors
Like, dude, this man had a record at 15. He got a terrible record at 15, man. And it's so shocking that he was 15 because the whole time I'm visualizing, and now y'all know y'all was visualizing it too, that it was a like grown adult who did this to Naima. But no, it's a freaking child, a teenager. And I don't care if he's 15 or not, man, dude. You got to go to prison for the rest of your life. And then maybe y'all disagree with me, but I'm sorry, man. I feel like at 15, bro, you do something like that, you do the crime, you got to do the time. That's just how I'm feeling right now. Maybe I'm being too emotional. Let's go.
of the teen recalled moments where his temper flared, like him coming home at 2 a.m. and breaking the glass to his own home's front door since he didn't have a key. The erratic behavior was something those who knew him had grown used to, but they found him to be a good person to be around as long as he was taking those meds. It was also stated that in addition to this, he was a victim of child abuse and neglect. Doctors felt this could have played a vital role in his behavior and state of mind. His mother also said that despite him needing the meds he was prescribed, he refused to take them. His reason being that they made him nauseous, sluggish, and left him with little energy to do anything. He had stopped taking the meds 3 or 4 weeks prior to the incident at Central Ave. The teen's mother said he had never done anything like this before, and he was a good person. Others who were interviewed stated that he was always by himself and known to be a tough kid, someone who definitely acted up, but no indication that he had ever done anything quite as horrible as this. However, his private doctor claimed that he warned the family of this outcome. On January 18th, exactly a month before the slaying, he let them know he diagnosed the teen as psychotic and someone who could eventually cause great harm to himself and others if his condition wasn't properly treated. The doctor stated he needed to be hospitalized because he was dangerous. 4 weeks later, he was on that M train, and those predictions the doctor made were now a reality. In fact, just hours before the incident that night, that same teen would find himself in an altercation with the landlord of his family's home. When the landlord suggested that the family keep their front door closed to avoid letting the heat out, the teen would threaten to attack him. Ultimately, the teen's decision to stay off those meds would result in an innocent woman losing her life just hours after, and in one of the most horrific ways imaginable. The teen admitted to authorities that he attempted to rob Naima before choking her and pushing her to her death. Despite his young age, he was charged as an adult, facing second-degree robbery, criminal possession of stolen property, and murder. He was arraigned at around 1 a.m. on the following morning.
And I feel like, and I said it earlier, yes, charge him with charge him as an adult. Like, he need to be facing life in prison for this ish, man. But I gotta agree with y'all in the comments when Canary says things like, see, if someone approached him during the assault, he wouldn't have committed that murder. He would have cowered away. Yes, and Canary was the one who was saying earlier about all the witnesses just standing around. Like, dude, y'all adults. This man 15 years old. Like, if y'all was just and I'm not just saying it had to been one of y'all. It could have been a group of adults who just ran over there like, man, get the off Naima, even though they don't know who she are. She a stranger. But just stop the situation. He would have stopped. You know what I'm saying? That I agree with too. And yes, Canary, he got a history. This man, like I said, he got a record of crazy-ish in the past, and he just now 15 years old. So what you think he gonna do? He already has slashed his classmates. Like, this man is terrible. Lively says, yeah, see, no, he shouldn't have been out within the public. That's what we all saying, Lively. He should have never been out in the public because of his past, his record that he already has. So what y'all think that gonna eventually happen? Mr. Government, Mr. I don't know the other word I should be saying, the people, the public, the police department, the judicial system. Like, what y'all think gonna happen, man? He should be in the nut house. God dang. Hey, I kind of tend to lean towards your side and not towards your side on that one. I'll just leave it at that. Let's go, y'all.
Naima's boyfriend would be tasked with identifying her body at the city morgue, his heart absolutely broken after losing the love of his life. It was the last place he ever wanted to be. He cried, still in disbelief, and struggling with the fact that he would never see her alive again. He would spend the night at home unable to sleep, staring at pictures of his future bride-to-be, realizing that everything they had planned together would never again be possible. He asked himself why. Why didn't we get married sooner? She was just here just a few hours before this, and now she would never be coming back home. It was a crippling grief that he and all her loved ones found themselves struggling with. A completely random tragedy. And next came one of the most difficult things they would ever have to do: lay her to rest. A service was held for Naima Lee on Saturday, February 24th of 1996 in Queens, New York. Many were in attendance, paying respects to the woman that they remembered as a hard-working, devoted mother, someone who put all her love and effort into her family. Her casket was covered from side to side in fresh bouquets of flowers, complete with notes bidding her farewell. Family and friends wept, still in disbelief that something so senseless and horrible could ever happen like this. Her boyfriend would approach her casket, leaning over to give her a final kiss goodbye. This was supposed to be the woman he spent the rest of his life with. Instead, he was burying her, a heartfelt dream that was carelessly snatched away. She was taken to Rosedale and Rose Hill Cemetery in Linden, New Jersey, for burial. After she was laid to rest, all that was left was this family seeking justice for Naima, but that would be easier said than done. While the teen was prosecuted as an adult, his age at the time of the slaying was still a factor. His lawyer argued that the client wasn't properly evaluated or monitored after his time at Kings County Psychiatric Unit. It was discovered that the teen was at that unit from November 17th until December 14th of 1995 after being admitted for, quote, trouble controlling his impulses. After his release, he was seen at a clinic by an assistant professor of psychiatry at Columbia's College of Physicians. This is when they were warned that he was dangerous. They were supposed to come back to see that professor on December 18th of 95, but the mother and son arrived over a half hour late, which meant he couldn't be seen due to the professor's other appointments. The teen's mother stated that when they refused to see her son, he took it as them discriminating against him. They set a second appointment for January 15th of 96, but he refused to return to the clinic. That also would have been around the same time that he stopped taking his medication, which is exactly where it all started to take a turn for the worst. Because of his charges, he was looking at 9 years to life in prison. But on Tuesday, January 7th of 1997, despite being prosecuted as an adult, the teen was sentenced as a juvenile because of his age. He will receive the minimum sentence of just 5 years to life in prison for the slaying of Naeem Ali. Her mother cried and screamed in the courtroom, furious at the outcome. Even a maximum sentence wouldn't be able to make the pain of losing her daughter go away. But the minimum? It felt like a slap in the face.
Yes.
There will never be enough time to punish him for what he's done, she said, fighting her way through a stream of tears. She approached the teen, yelling at him, making it clear exactly how she felt about him. She had to be restrained by loved ones. Most who sat in that courtroom that day felt her pain and wished for a different outcome, but the trial was over. Naeema's mother would leave court that day feeling completely let down, and like the life of her daughter's attacker meant more than her daughter's. A judge stated that the teen was offered a plea deal if he admitted to the crime, mainly because he was said to be a mentally ill child when he did this. This, and the fact that he was trying to get help, were the judge's reasons for handing out the life sentence. The teen would serve a few years and has since been released. The horrific incident that unfolded at Central Ave in February of 96 would stay on the minds of friends and relatives for years to come, nearly impossible to forget, no matter how much time passed. The incident would raise a lot of questions on whether or not someone struggling with deep-rooted mental issues like the ones described today could be held fully responsible for their actions. Some felt like he tried to get the help and fell short, resulting in this tragedy. Others felt like if he and his family had it in them to get him the help, he needed to fully commit and stick to taking the necessary medication, regardless of how it made him feel. But for Naeema's loved ones, it no longer mattered. They weren't concerned with his past or his future. They just wanted him to pay for all the pain that he had caused. They wanted justice, but this felt like the furthest thing from that. He made a decision to stay off his meds, and because of that decision, they would never see their beloved Naeema again.
And that's the thing, man. It's all about Naeema. That's what it did. All the other ish. Bro, she is gone.
If alive today, Naeema would be 49 years old. Rest in peace, Naeem Ali, and my deepest condolences go out to her family and loved ones. You aren't forgotten.
Another life cut short, snuffed out over a pair of earrings of all things. Police say 20-year-old Naeema Lee was crushed to death early this morning after an assailant pushed her onto the tracks at the Central Myrtle Ave station. The Brooklyn woman was on her way to visit her mom when she...
Oh man, rest in peace, Naeema, y'all. Like, that's the thing more than anything. It's about her, and I'm not gonna even get all animated about the sentencing and the fact that this man is free. They started off with let's charge him as an adult, but then they went back, no, let's charge him as a juvenile and all this and all that. And I always say this too, y'all. I always say this too. I understand. I completely understand that there are mentally ill, like there are people who are mentally disabled in this world. Like, seriously, I have understood that from a little child, like being, and I'm not being funny at all, but we have all went to school with disabled people who are not mentally there. You know what I'm saying? Who had to go to certain classes and ride certain buses. I'm not being funny. I'm being real, y'all. So I understand that. But even if one of those people was to commit murder, was to kill someone, I still stand by it. You do the crime, you gotta do the time. I don't care who the freak you is, man. Life in prison At least. And y'all know I like to lean towards the death penalty. Hey, I'm all for the death penalty too. But at least life in prison, man. I understand that some people don't have the mental capabilities that we have, but it don't change the fact of what they done, especially at 15, man. And it's a lot more deep stuff up in this case because it's known that he had mental health issues and he was taking medicine, but you can kind of like try to blame the medicine people for not keeping him on the meds or not making sure you take them. But at the end of the day, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is that Naima is gone, and it happened by this 15-year-old, and he need to pay the price for what the freak he did. But instead, in the year 2025, he out here freaking living life, probably listening to this freaking live stream right now. Seriously, man, he just out here living life, Bean Team, and he is the cause of that lady death in 1996. How many years ago that is? That's 29 years ago. I digress, y'all. I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna let that go and say shout out to our boy Jose Ortiz for another great video. I'm gonna make sure I hit that like button on the Bean Team. Let's check out the comments real quick. Lively says that one was a wild case of talking about a young man that ate the guy's face. Oh, let's go back to this one. It was the first one. Canary says similar to that frat guy who ate human meat and killed because he didn't get enough help with his mental health. The institution and parents need to be held accountable too. Then Lively says that one was a wild case if you're talking about a young man that ate the guy's face. Now, if y'all are talking about what I think y'all are talking about, then I know what you're talking about because Mr. Ballin covered it, and we heard it from, I think, that chapter 2 about the dude who did that. Yes. Now, it goes back to the whole mental health issues and stuff on that one too, man. But regardless, if they have mental health issues or not, it don't change the fact of what they did. And I feel like they need to pay the price for it. Canary says, oh, hell no. He had no remorse. He just felt upset because he was prosecuted. Yes, I don't think he had no freaking remorse. Lively says, rest in peace, didn't deserve that over some earrings. Over some freaking earrings. And that's why I keep saying, too, I don't even think it was all about the earrings, Lively. I feel like that dude just had mental health issues and he crashed out. He crashed out. Long story short, story long. Canary says he literally had no reason to try to rob, too. He lived with his parents. When you have such a mental illness that hurts another, you must take responsibility to help yourself. Agree with that, too. And Misha just popped in, another member of the Bean Team All-Star. Shout out to Misha. Misha says, good evening, folks. Good evening to you, Misha. Happy you have came through. Misha, we have been here for an hour and 47 minutes, and we got one more channel to go to. But before we go to that, I will be right back. Get whatever you may need. And I'm back, Bean Team. I am back for the last video of this live stream. It has been a great live stream. And like I said, man, we are almost 2 hours into the live stream. And I will say this also. Shout out to all y'all who have been here for these 2 hours. But if you have been here for these 2 hours, then you better not leave now, because we are going back to Ryan from Tragedy.
But a man in his 40s.
Going back to Ryan from Tragedy Tales, y'all. And this video within itself is 54 minutes long. So I'm pretty sure that this live stream is gonna go at least 3 hours plus long. But I'm ready to get into it, y'all. Like I said, it is 20 of y'all in the building, in here with the Bean Team right now. And y'all better not leave. You done been here this long. Let's finish it out strong. Y'all. Let me get everything straight set up. I'm excited, man. I love when Ryan put out a new video. And I think he put out this video a couple days ago. And I was like, nah, I gotta wait, man, till we do the live stream, man, so I can watch it with the Bean Team, man. And it is finally time to do it. But before we do it, we gotta give a shout out to Julie Hanson. Hi, guys. How are y'all? Hey, Julie. Happy to see you stop through as always. Another member of the Bean Team All-Stars. Julie been rocking with me for years now, y'all. Been rocking with me for years. But I digress, Bean Team. We got to go and get into it, y'all. The title of the video is Deadly Display. 5 Fatal Events. Number 5. Let's go.
But a man in his 40s is believed to have fallen from the upper tier, and there were around 90,000 Oasis fans inside the venue watching Liam and Noel on stage after all these years.
A man has died after falling from a height at an Oasis concert. It happened at Wembley Stadium on Saturday.
Going to an event, whether it be an air show, the Olympics, or a night out at the club, it should be a fun experience. But sometimes it isn't. One reckless act, a single mistake, or poor planning can turn excitement into total horror. Sadly, some people go to events and they never make it home. And in this video, we're going to take a look at 5 more shocking examples. From a football game that turned into hell on earth, to a nightclub disaster that never should have happened. This week, we've got a range of disasters from all across the world, reminding you that nothing is safe. So you guys know the drill. Strap in and draw the curtains, and let's get right into it.
Get whatever you may need. Number 5.
I don't know what it is about planes, but we're naturally drawn to them. The sound of their engines, the precision of their movements as they soar through the sky at jaw-dropping speeds, they're amazing. So it's no wonder that thousands all across the world flock to air shows to see these amazing machines in action. One air show that locals flocked to was the West Coast Air Show in South Africa. Held in Saldanha Airport, around 115 kilometers north of Cape Town, the West Coast Air Show specialized in aerobatics, fast jets, skydivers, and other aviation displays, and is the only air show held in southern South Africa. Because of this, every year since it started in 2022, the air show consistently drew crowds who paid to watch the planes soar through the sky. On the weekend of the 22nd of March 2025, the annual West Coast Air Show was scheduled to be an absolute banger. That day, they had over 20 thrilling acts, from fast jets to aerobatic teams, to skydivers, drone racers, and naval precision demonstrations. One of the pilots scheduled to fly that day was 63-year-old James O'Connell. James had worked at the Air Force for nearly 3 decades before moving to the Test Flying Academy of South Africa, where he worked as a chief flight instructor and was head of the test pilot school. He held both a CPL aeroplane license and an ATPL helicopter license, and he had been flying for a total of 36 years. Making him an extreme veteran in this field, there wasn't much that he didn't know about flying. That day, James...
And that's the thing about a lot of these tragedy tales being team. A lot of these people like be very freaking experienced. And it just shows you that it don't matter how experienced you are, a tragedy tale can freaking happen.
James was set to take to the skies in a vintage retired military aircraft older than him, his 68-year-old Air Marchi MB326 Impala Mach 1. Once the backbone of South Africa's jet training program, this aircraft was now a rare warbird flown mostly at airshows like this. The Impala was nimble, rugged, and most importantly, very forgiving, traits that made it a favorite for crowd-pleasing aerobatic displays for years. For James, this airshow was a chance to show off both the aircraft's capabilities as well as his own skill. At approximately 6 a.m. on March the 22nd, the gates to the West Coast Airshow opened. Somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 people flooded in, eager for the excitement of the day that lay ahead. By 9 a.m., the first aircraft had already taken to the skies, and just like in previous years, the day unfolded without incident. All until 3 p.m. At 3 p.m., it was time for the highlight of the show, the moment the crowd had all been waiting for. James O'Connell was about to take center stage. According to organizers, his slot was a routine display in the Impala, but what followed would prove anything but routine. As the Impala tore through the sky above the crowd, James put the vintage machine through a series of graceful yet powerful maneuvers, low passes, tight turns, and precision rolls that kept every eye locked on him. Then came the finale of his tricks. James flew towards the crowd with flaps extended, flying in what is called a dirty configuration for display purposes. Makes the aircraft look cooler. As he did this, he rolled the aircraft inverted, flying upside down for several seconds before easing it back to level flight. However, almost immediately after flying upside down, the nose of the plane began to plummet towards Earth. At first, the crowd thought it was all part of the act, a daring dive to close the show. But it began to spool down, and the dive steepened. As the plane plummeted down, a realization swept over the crowd. They weren't just watching a stunt anymore, they were watching a disaster unfold right in front of them.
Oh my God, man. Just seeing it is so terrible. But am I the only one who just be thinking like how close that airplane was to the actual crowd? Do you see all those people out there and how close they are to actually being crashed upon with that airplane if things was to go crazy? Like, I don't know, man. Maybe I just be thinking crazy being team. What a freaking tragedy tale, man. Cowley Nelson says, oh my God, the way that plane went down. Like, you could just tell something was wrong the way it just started going. It just started going down, man. Lively says, dang, jumping right in, these sometimes unlock new fears in me. I both love and hate watching these already. Rest in peace to anyone who dies in these vids. Yes, it's a love-hate relationship, most definitely, Lively. Elizabeth Bryant says, dang, I miss you tonight. I had fallen asleep. Hey, shout out to you, Elizabeth. I think this is my first time seeing you, so shout out to you. Hey, you fell asleep, but you can always go back and replay and stuff, and you still got enough time to spend with the Bean team because we just getting started on our last one from Tragedy Tales, and we still got 50 minutes to go. Callie Nelson says, it never ends well with these air shows. These air shows, they just make me so nervous, Kylie, because I be just looking at how close the crowd is to the actual airplanes flying in the sky and ish. Like, that ish be like, dude, they are so close to crashing on y'all and killing all y'all if they fall. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. We just get started, y'all. Tragedy Tales.
The plane continued nosediving towards the ground, soon disappearing behind a hangar, followed by nothing. Gas erupted from the crowd as a huge fireball rose into the sky. Hundreds stood behind the barriers, completely stunned, unable to do anything to help. James had crashed just beyond the standing area for the show, and amazingly, nobody else was injured. As medical teams were on standby, they arrived within 2 minutes and found the Impala wreck engulfed in flames. James was still inside the cockpit. He hadn't even attempted to eject before impact. He was dead. Many were left confused. How could a veteran seasoned pilot crash in such a sudden, seemingly avoidable way? Of course, the airshow was immediately halted following the tragedy, and an investigation was swiftly started by the South African Civil Aviation Authority. Months after the crash, investigations concluded that it was mainly caused due to the way the Impala had been flown in a dirty configuration, with both landing gears and flaps extended. He did this during a slow roll at just a few hundred feet above the ground. This drag setup bled away airspeed, and at the top of the roll, the aircraft's nose dipped, losing critical lift. With so little altitude to work with, recovery was impossible. This report concluded, listing a number of safety recommendations, including stricter enforcement of display authorization compliance, enhanced regulatory oversight of roles, and event organizers. Watching this footage back, you're watching the final moments of a veteran pilot. It just makes you think. Over his 36 years in the sky, how many times had he attempted this trick? How many times did it go right in the past before one miscalculation, just one mistake, caused it all to go wrong, killing James in front of a crowd of thousands?
Man, Ryan just made such a great point, and it goes back to what I was saying. It don't matter how much of a professional you are. How many times do y'all think he have did that same damn trick? Thousands of times for thousands of shows in his history of doing this aircraft stunts and stuff. You know what I'm saying, man? But it's just that one time, that one freaking time where something can go wrong. It can become a tragedy tale, and it can end your freaking life, man. Lively says, bro, that fire picture looked like a face. I don't know which fire picture you are talking about, Lively. I know some of y'all out there probably know what she's talking about. All I know is, man, it's also because when I was a child, I had went to these type of shows when I was a child because of my older sisters. Shout out to my sisters. That my one particular sister, my sister named Kiki, she had a boyfriend who is also the father of some of my nieces nowadays. I should say also. Shout out to my nieces. But back then when I was a little child and they was first getting together, he was in the military and he got us into these type of shows and stuff. And I didn't think about it back then, like, dude, these freaking airplanes are flying like right over us. What if they freaking crash? But nowadays, I get so paranoid just from watching these damn videos to the point where I don't know if I will ever go to an air show freaking again, man. Especially not take my kids. I don't know. Let's go. We just now getting to number 4. Number 4.
The Winter Olympics, held every 4 years, being winter, specializes in a wide range of snow and ice sports, with athletes competing in high-speed and high-risk events like skiing, snowboarding, and ice skating. They're all competing for that coveted gold medal for their country and high speed. Luge riders steer by subtle leg pressure on the sled's runners and small shifts in their body weight, and braking is essentially not an option until the run ends. Each athlete goes down the track and races along slight curves to be the fastest. Luge actually holds the record for the highest speed of any sport in the Winter Olympics, with the men's world record being over 154 kilometers an hour, or around 95 miles an hour. Training hard leading up to the 2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics was 21-year-old Georgian luger Nodar Kumatashvili. Nodar came from a family deeply involved in the sport and naturally grew up on the ice. He began competing internationally in 2008, representing Georgia in World Cup events as he worked towards his Olympic debut in Vancouver. In 2010, the Olympic luge events were held at the Whistler Sliding Center, a center featuring a track that was known even before the games for being the fastest in the world, with test runs already setting record speeds. As was standard, in the days before the games began, athletes were given multiple training sessions to familiarize themselves with the course. Nodar had completed many practice runs on the track in the lead up to February the 12th, 2010, going down the course 19 times in earlier training sessions. This was all leading up to the opening day of the Vancouver Olympics. That morning, before the competition began, riders were given more opportunities to test the track again, and Nodar, of course, decided to take a few final runs. In front of a crowd of spectators watching trackside, a camera crew, coaches, and staff, his next 5 runs that day went smoothly, with no issues whatsoever, until his 6th attempt. On his 6th attempt, he launched, and instantly he flew like a torpedo. This test run looked like it was going exceedingly well, with Nodar being clocked at over 143 kilometers an hour. All on video, as Nodar came out of curve 15, he failed to compensate for the next curve. As such, he was violently ejected from the track and struck an unpadded steel support pole, traveling at 90 plus miles an hour.
Like that whole 95 plus mile per hour ish is crazy anyway to me. Like it's almost like, what do you expect to freaking happen? Like my girl, I don't know. I said my girl because I'm thinking about Kylie, but no, Red Pill Freedom. I don't know if you're a girl or a male. Let me know, Red Pill, because I always wondered that. So let me know if you're a boy or a girl, a man or a woman, I should say. But it says you couldn't pay me to go 95 miles per hour in such a narrow space. Like that whole thing anyway is so crazy, and just it happened so fast how this person just went out of the course, and I hate to say it, but probably to their death.
Despite wearing a crash helmet, the impact forces at play here were just enormous. The crunch of Nodar's bones reverberated through the course as paramedics rushed to his aid. CPR and mouth-to-mouth was provided, and he was swiftly airlifted to hospital. However, despite the doctor's best efforts, he was pronounced dead shortly afterwards. His cause of death was severe blunt force trauma to the head. News of his death spread around the globe like wildfire. The plunge training was immediately suspended at the centre for the rest of the day, and the track was closed while officials investigated. The rest of the Winter Olympics went ahead that year. The Georgian Olympic team entered the competition wearing black armbands and scarves in Nodar's memory. In the opening ceremony, the stadium announcer acknowledged the tragedy, and the crowd gave Nodar a standing ovation and shared a minute of silence. As a gesture of respect and solidarity, the luge winner for that year, Felix Locke, had the back part of his medal removed and given to Nodar's parents. Investigations revealed that the main cause of the crash was driving errors compounded in the final curves of the course, as well as poor wall design that failed to prevent the accident.
Here you have a young athlete who lost his life in pursuing his passion. He had a dream to participate in the Olympic Games. He trained hard, and he had this fatal accident. I have no words.
To avoid a similar tragedy going forward, Whistler Sliding Centre officials raised the wall at the exit of Curve 16 to help keep sleds inside the track. They changed the ice profile, reshaping the curve to slow sleds slightly and making handling easier, and they added padding to the exposed steel beams along the outside, as well as moving the men's start position down to the women's double start, which basically reduced the top speed by several kilometers. After the games, Nodar was carried through the streets of his hometown in Georgia, where he was laid to rest on February the 20th, 2010. His funeral was attended by thousands of mourners, as well as the Prime Minister of Georgia himself. A street in his hometown was even renamed in his honor.
In Whistler, flowers were laid at the Olympic Plaza as a tribute to Nodar Kumartashvili. The Georgian luger died after he crashed during a training run just hours before the opening ceremony. His death is still being felt in the international sliding community, and it was the catalyst to make Sochi's track safer.
We had to learn, we had to react in the designs of the new tracks, and therefore Sochi is built on a slower path.
Nodar was about to live his dream, but due to fate, he lost his life on the day that he had spent half of his life working towards. He was ready to make his mark on the ice, but in an instant, it was all over in the most brutal way possible.
Rest in peace to Nodar, man. And this goes back to earlier. I can't remember. I think it was from Chilling Scares when we was talking about the people in the wilderness who like being out in the wilderness. At least if we try to look on the bright side of the situation, he died doing something that he loved to do. And I hate that his life had to be sacrificed. I don't even know if that's the correct word to use, but his life he had to die for safety measures to be put into place to hopefully never cause a death again. You know what I'm saying, man? But rest in peace to Nodar. Shout out to Nodar. And Red Pill lets me know I'm a 36-year-old man. Shout out to Red Pill. Now I know Red Pill because I always wondered it. I always wondered that. Now I know. And we basically around the same age. You 36, I'm 34. So shout out to you, my brother from another mother. And I will say this too, Bean Team. It is freaking raining hard as hell outside right now. I'm talking about thunder coming through my freaking AirPods. I can hear it. Lively says, damn, unfortunate. And yeah, that's nice how they they saluting him and they gonna keep his name alive forever. But it's just sad how his name got to be able to be kept alive forever. But I do feel like it's also they doing it for the greater good, keeping his name alive forever. So hopefully another tragic thing like that happens. Lively also says, yeah, it sucks that someone has to die for that to happen. Yeah, man. LSB Eyes, I know, right? Storming hard. Yeah, bro, it's freaking raining hard as hell outside right now. Canary says, like the Triangle Sweatshirt Factor, their deaths were the catalyst to create rules to prevent such sad incidents. Yes, it's crazy how people deaths. It takes for people to die for people to start to do safety measures that they should have already done before those people died. If you get what I'm saying, Bean Team, we have heard it so many times. Let's go. Number 3.
Homecoming parades are a long-standing tradition in many American college towns. It's not really something we do in the UK, but these homecoming parades are a vibrant mix of marching bands, decorated floats, and proud people returning to their hometown to relive memories. They're supposed to be a celebration of school spirit, often timed to lead into a big game day when the whole community seems to come alive in the colours of their team. However, in this entry, one such homecoming parade would end in total horror. At the Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, that tradition takes the form of the Sea of Orange Homecoming Parade, an annual event drawing thousands of spectators each October. This parade wasn't just for students, the entire city gets involved. Local businesses, school clubs, and civic groups create elaborate floats, and marching bands play the Osu fight song. The streets are lined with cheering families. It's all great fun. The Sea of Orange Homecoming Parade is all part of a build-up to the homecoming football game, the actual main event of the weekend. After the parade ends, many in the crowd walk straight to the Boone Pickens Stadium to watch the Cowboys play, making it a day-long celebration. On the morning of October the 24th, 2015, the weather was cool and clear. It was perfect for the parade. Before long, amazing floats were coming down the street, music was being played, and everyone was having fun. Children sat on their parents' shoulders, waving at cheerleaders as they passed. Vendors sold orange and black merchandise, and parents snapped photos of the floats. Most of the parade went fine, with no problems whatsoever. Until the final stretch of the route. This route led to the intersection of Hall of Fame Avenue and Main Street, just half a mile from the stadium where the parade was set to end. It was here as the last...
I just seen y'all said I was muted, but all I was saying, Bean Team, is it just shows you right now how you just can be in a parade and everything just seems fine. Everybody all happy on the street, you know what I'm saying? Just having a good time. And then a freaking tragedy tale can just happen just out of nowhere. I don't know what that tragedy tale is about to be, but let's see.
As floats crossed the intersection, the celebration abruptly turned into true horror. At approximately 10:31 a.m., a grey 2014 Hyundai Elantra approached from the north at more than 40 miles an hour. Behind the wheel was 25-year-old Dacia Avery Chambers, resident of Stillwater. Without slowing, her car traveled straight towards the parade and smashed through the metal barriers blocking commuter traffic from the parade route. She then struck an unmanned Stillwater police car that was providing event security before continuing straight into a dense section of the crowd.
What the?
The car struck many people that were standing there. The impact was devastating. Around 50 spectators were struck in seconds.
Oh my God, man. Do y'all see that car? Look at that car. And that's a car that's damaged by hitting people.
Were thrown to the ground. Others were pinned beneath debris. Strollers, folding chairs, and personal belongings were scattered all across the road. The vehicle only stopped when its two front tires jumped the curb on the southwest corner. In the space of literally 10 seconds, a nightmare had unfolded. Local paramedics and firefighters, many of whom had been marching in the parade moments earlier, immediately rushed to tend to those who had been injured. First responders began giving CPR to multiple victims as onlookers watched in agony. Despite medics' best efforts, 3 people were killed on impact. They were pronounced dead right there on the road. These 3 victims included 23-year-old Nikita Nakal, as well as 65-year-old Marvin Linestone and his wife, 65-year-old Bonnie Jean Stone. A 2-year-old named Nash Lucas, who was at the parade with his mother, suffered severe injuries and sadly died hours later in the hospital, with his mother by his bedside. In total, 47 others, including 9 children between the ages of 1 and 13, suffered severe injuries and were admitted to Stillwater Medical Center, some in critical condition. Of course, the driver of the car, Dacia, was arrested near the crash site by Stillwater Police Department. Instantly, they arrested her under suspicion of drink driving. At this point, authorities were certain that alcohol must have been a factor. But when they took her down to the station, the results of her blood test came back, and her blood alcohol content was just 0.01. This was far below the legal limit. She hadn't even had a drink. At this point, her defense shifted to claims of mental illness, claiming that she must have been experiencing a psychiatric episode at the time of the crash. A court-ordered psychological evaluation was conducted, and a judge ruled her competent to stand trial. The OSU community gathered for a candlelit vigil that night, paying their respects to those who lost their lives, just having fun with their community and their family.
Man, that's a scare one right there, because she wasn't drunk, she wasn't high on drugs, whatever drug of her choice. Like she was just crazy, maybe. Like she just did that crazy ish on purpose. Oh my God, man. See, stop these that goddamn tragedy tales videos being seen. They make me scared to leave the house. Like it just make me scared of everybody. Like you never know what's on somebody's mind out here. She just decided to just drive into the crowd of the parade and kill people. Like what? Let's go.
Dacia is a kind, loving, caring person. And she wouldn't have done this purposely. I just don't believe that in my heart. And she had a mental hospital she went to in Wagner at one time. They had her for a couple of weeks and they released her and said there's really nothing else they could do for her. She was very good about hiding her problems because she didn't want the family to worry about her.
We don't have the answers. We don't know what happened because the girl I seen Friday night, the girl that was with me in the walk around, was happy, funny.
I've never seen her take any prescription medication, never used drugs. We rarely drank.
Ultimately, she was charged with 4 counts of second-degree murder and 46 counts of assault, with a bail set at $1 million. Adacia pleaded no contest to the 4 counts of second-degree murder and pleaded guilty to 39 counts of assault and battery by means likely to produce death.
Chambers' trial was set to begin today. Instead, she took a plea deal, life in prison, in exchange for pleading no contest to 4 counts of second-degree murder and 39 counts of assault and battery.
Top story tonight, Adacia Chambers will spend her life in prison. The woman charged with killing 4 people by driving her car into the crowd at the 2015 OSU homecoming parade agreed to a plea bargain just before her jury trial was to begin. She was sentenced after pleading no contest to 4 counts of second-degree murder and 39 counts of assault and battery.
She accepted a plea deal, and on January the 10th, 2017, she was sentenced to life in prison for each murder count, to be served concurrently, as well as 10 years for each assault count, also concurrent. She told the court that she was sorry, saying that there were no words to express how sorry that she was for the day that affected so many people, adding that if she could only change the past, she would, and that her prayers are with the families and victims. The court said that she would serve a minimum of 55 years before she's even eligible for parole, meaning she'll be at least 72 before she can even be considered for release. Sadly, regardless of what she says, how many lives did she shatter in the space of just seconds? No apology could fix it, and no words can erase the image of the homecoming parade turned into a mass casualty scene. Nothing she could say could remove the sounds of the bodies hitting the pavement. For all those who witnessed it, that day will forever be concreted in horror and death.
Yeah, and I will say that I'm happy. I am happy that she got life in prison. Well, the possibility of parole after like 50-some years. And when she's 72, she could have a chance of getting out. But even if she get out there by that point, she old. You know what I'm saying? So I'm good with the sentencing overall, y'all. I'm good with the sentencing overall. I feel like justice was pretty much freaking served on that one. I feel like it was served as good as it could be served. I'll just say it like that. Kylie Nelson says, not everything is mental illness. Some people are just plain evil. Now, see, this is the thing, Kylie. This is the thing about me. When I say that, when I bring up the mental illness about this type of stuff, I feel like people who are evil like this, I agree with you. She was just plain evil. She was evil to just drive into this crowd like this and murder people, run over people. But I feel like, to me, that's a part of being mentally ill. Like, I feel like people who think like that are freaking crazy, and that's a part of them being mentally ill. Being evil like that is mental health issues to me, at least to me. That's why I be saying stuff like that. Diana says, them making this about her is wild. She killed people. Let's focus on the victims. I agree with that too. Let's focus on the victims and not so much on the killers, man. Not so much on the killers. Goddad says, if a suspect says he has mental health issues, then you know damn well that person is sus. Now, that a great point too, because there are a lot of people out here who try to play crazy. They be fake crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's why I got the quotation thingy majiggies with my fingers. You know what I'm saying? They try to play like they crazy when they really not really crazy. They know what the freak they doing. Libby says, I can agree some people are just evil, but there are some that are really mentally ill. Also, evil people can be to a certain extent, because no sane person is doing stuff like that. Yes, and that's what I tend to agree with too, Libby. Like, if you doing evil stuff like that, then in my brain, at least, something is wrong with your brain. That's how I look at you. You got to be something wrong with you, man. Let's go, y'all. A great video from Tragedy Tales. Shout out to the Bean Team. Y'all still here with me. I told y'all can't leave. If you came this far now, you cannot leave until we get done, Bean Team. We almost there. Let's keep going. Number 2.
The sheer emotion inside a football stadium is truly unmatched. Thousands of voices shouting in unison for their team. It almost brings a tear to your eye. Football is a sport that can bring out the very best in people, but also the worst. With that in mind, this entry begins on April the 11th, 2001, in Ellis Park Stadium, located in Johannesburg, South Africa. Also known today as the Emirates Airline Park, the stadium was originally built in 1928 and later underwent several renovations, including a total major rebuild in 1982 to modernize the facility. With a seating capacity of around 60,000, the stadium was well known for its lively atmosphere, perfect for competitive games to take place. While the stadium was well known for its atmosphere, it was also well known for its lack of safety. In its years operating, Ellis Park had had multiple incidents of overcrowding, ticketing chaos, and pitch invasions. Matchgoers described gates being overwhelmed, and fans were often forced into standing areas way beyond safe capacity almost every time big games were played. It was reported that guards were sparsely populated around the stadium and even lacked two-way radios, so when anything went wrong, they had no way to communicate with each other, so matches were known to have spectators enter without tickets, and this was partly the reason it was so popular. On the 11th of April 2001, a Soweto Derby football match between the Kaizer Chiefs and the Orlando Pirates was scheduled to be played at the Ellis Park Stadium. Now this game was huge. It hyped up fans to the max, with the stadium expected to completely fill to capacity. Apparently, these are the only two football teams in the area that attracted crowds like this. So, excitement was in the air. It was palpable. Kickoff started at 8 p.m, and guests flooded into the stadium by their thousands. As the game began, the stadium reached its capacity, but the guests did not stop entering. Just minutes after kickoff, it was estimated that there was around 68 to 74,000 people inside, with some estimates putting it closer to 80,000 people, almost 20,000 people more than there were supposed to be. Patrons outside began to notice entrances completely unguarded, open and unattended. Of course, guests began to flood in en masse. Two early goals scored put the two teams neck and neck, and this made it even worse. Cheers could be heard coming from outside the stadium, and everyone wanted to see the game. The security, despite knowing that this was a massive game and they should have been prepared, were completely overwhelmed by the sheer amount of people. With no way to communicate with each other, they could do nothing as chaos erupted. As the game played, fans soon found themselves trapped in a pressure cooker, ready to burst at any moment. The stadium soon reached a tipping point. Aisles were jammed, there was nowhere to move. Fans began to flood into the VIP stands, as well as even the pitch, as there was just no room to stand and no seats. And
like, it's just so crazy seeing that many people in that stadium, y'all. Like, they look like ants. You know what I'm saying, man? 70,000 plus people. And just the fact that it's just, at this point, it's overcapacitated. It's becoming a floodgate. Like, it's just people just, they not even paying money to get in here no more. They just running in, man. And there's already too many people in here. It's another tragedy tale that's just waiting to happen. And it's so many people till you can just imagine, before we even see it, the amount of people that's going to get trampled on and stuff, trying to get out.
This is when people began to be crushed by the crowds. Screams of people dying were buried amongst the cheers of fans. Multiple people went to officials and begged them to stop the game, but they refused. Shocking video footage shows people applauding the game while people received CPR from paramedics right in front of them. It was absolutely ridiculous. People began to die everywhere, and yet the game still continued.
Some fans were impaled on railings that collapsed. And still, the match continued.
Starting wide on the right tonight.
This video footage shows spectators applauding the game, with people dying in front of them.
Paramedics working hard. Huge dramatic scenes on the side of the field in an evening which was always set up for something dramatic to happen, with tickets being sold at the stadium, fans rushing in here late as they always do.
After 33 minutes, only then did officials stop the game and try to control the crowd. But of course, by then it was just far too late. Many people had already died right there in the stands.
Incidents, they're going to have to stop the game here by the looks of things. Robin Peterson there.
Don't push, really pull back, don't push, don't panic. Just clear this way here. Sanitaire, please.
A full-scale disaster unfolded as ambulances struggled to get to the stadium due to the crowds and low entrances. Critically injured were loaded onto golf carts and rushed to hospital. Eventually, helicopters landed on the pitch and transported more people to hospital. But as I said, for many, it was just too late. By the end of the night, 43 people had lost their lives and 150 people were seriously injured, making it the worst sporting disaster in South Africa's entire history. At first, officials involved refused to speak. When guards were interviewed, they just said that they couldn't stop people entering as they began to force the closed entrances open. An official inquiry was launched, and this inquiry concluded that this disaster was caused by a combination of overcrowding, lack of crowd control, corruption at the gates, poor communication, and inadequate emergency planning.
So this whole thing, long story short, story long, was caused by a whole bunch of effed up ish. It's a whole laundry list of effed up ish why this happened. A whole bunch of failures by this whole thing.
Documentary style video on the tragedy that was done just a year later showed that guests were still flooding into the stadium. Guards stood there and allowed it all to happen, and they still lacked any radios whatsoever. Ridiculous. In the years following the tragedy, amazingly, the stadium still operates to this day without any further major incidents. Ellis Park itself underwent major safety upgrades, still a staple for the community, despite what horrors unfolded in the past.
Man, I'm telling y'all, man, these videos starting to make me go crazy, man. Just seeing that wave of people doing the wave. Y'all see how many people that is? I don't know if I could be one of those people in that crowd without having major freaking anxiety, major thoughts about tragedy tales. You know what I'm saying? About how wrong this could freaking go. And how I just ain't got no way to get up out of this situation if it do go wrong. Like, I don't know, being seen. Rest in peace to those 40-something people who died. And it's just the negligence by that whole company or that stadium or whatever. It's just like, dude. Well, Diana said 43 deaths. 43 deaths is insane. The family should at least get something because this was totally preventable. I agree on that, especially the family should get compensated in some type of way. And being compensated is not going to bring their family members back alive, but at least it's something. I don't know. Live, rest in peace to all of them. I agree, y'all. Let's go. Number one.
This next tragic entry takes us to the beautiful city of Oakland, California, on the 2nd of December, 2016. Situated on the east side of San Francisco Bay, the Oakland area is home to a mix of bustling streets, historic districts, and sweeping waterfront views. From its busy port to the rolling hills above, it's a place with a character all of its own. Located at 1305 31st Avenue in the Fruitvale neighborhood, sat what people called the Ghost Ship nightclub. Now, I use the word nightclub very loosely. The building was built in 1930 as a warehouse, and in 2013, it had been converted into a performance space as well as a place for people to live. Upstairs, the warehouse hosted concerts and art shows, while downstairs, the warehouse had been converted to residential apartments. This ground floor was extremely dangerous. It was a total maze of makeshift hallways thrown together from salvaged junk, pianos, benches, scrap wood, and whatever else the landlord could find. Walls weren't even walls at all, but a patchwork of doors, bed frames, trailers, metal sheets, tapestries, and even tree stumps. Amazingly, despite these living conditions, about 20 residents lived in these apartments and paid a fraction of what it should cost to rent in the area. I mean, look at this video. I had to double check that this was the right place because this doesn't look like anywhere a human can live. Yeah, it seems insane that people actually lived here. But, you know, life happens, needs must.
Right? like great question, Ryan. How can anyone live there? But he also said what he said something like you live trust. But long story short, story long. If you ain't got nowhere else to live, I guess you might as well live there. But it's just already setting up a tragedy tales. Like, dude, you know this situation is not gonna get any better. And then Lively also said something that I want to talk about. Oh God, I feel like I've heard this one. These club incidents are so crazy and so common. Like how many of these club incidents have we heard from Tragedy Tales and Lazy Masquerade and Nick Crowley? Like, dude, this stuff happens so freaking much, and you just would think that maybe they would start to be more preventable. But the thing about these club incidents, why I think a lot of them happen, is because these club is like anybody. I'm not gonna say anybody, but it's very easy. I'll say that it's very easy to just open up your own building and call it a club. You know what I'm saying? Without all the safety regulations and stuff, you can just kind of like makeshift a freaking club just by owning a building and making it into that, just playing some music and having some drinks and stuff. Like, it's very easy to do that, and I feel like that's one of the reasons that we see a lot of these different type of videos, because it's not like opening at a Walmart or a Publix or a real business. It's almost, you don't have to go through, or the spotlight is not put on you enough. And I feel like the spotlight should be put on these smaller businesses to make sure that people are safe. I will say that also. God Dad says, dude, it's like you're in Kowloon. Look it up. Kowloon. I don't know what you talking about, God Dad. I don't know. But salute to you, man. Shout out to you. Gladly says, we don't unfortunately know everyone's situation, but where is this going? That's the question I have. Let's find out where it's going, live.
These people were instructed to keep quiet about their living situation by Derek Almina, their landlord. Derek, soon after signing the lease for this warehouse, all without permission, converted the second floor and began to sublet downstairs in these very dangerous conditions. With the aid of his friend Max Harris, both of them began to host parties and gatherings upstairs and start to make money. On his lease for the building, he didn't say it would be used as a residence or even a business. And on 2 separate occasions, he told the police that nobody lived in the building. Oakland police visited multiple times over the years. Apparently, they attended literally 30 times due to reports of illegal events and noise complaints. But when police got there, they couldn't gain entry and didn't follow up.
Back the whole thing?
Yeah,
Residents?
everybody out. Except for people that live here.
Okay.
There's only 2 people that I know that live here, right?
I'm not sure who all lives here.
There's only like 2 people that I've talked to that actually live here.
Okay.
All right. So everybody else got to come out. What kind of
essentially the
what are you
Constitution of the United States allows people to gather in private.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. They gather in public and they charge.
Gather in private.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll do. We'll figure that out.
We only pay monthly dues for our members.
Monthly dues to what?
For membership in our club.
Membership of what? What club? What's the name of the club?
We're called Outlet.
Outlet?
Mm-hmm. Like a plug.
Mm-hmm. That's your outlet. That's your club.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna turn everybody out, right?
Yeah.
No more music.
No more
Okay.
music.
If I come back, I'm gonna give you a fine.
I understand.
It's gonna be a very, very expensive fine. I'm still gonna make sure that the city knows about this place, and I'm gonna talk to the owner of this place as well.
Okay.
We'll figure out what you
Name's
guys
Derek.
are doing. I know. I've been here a few times.
Well, I mean, Derek's had like private gatherings.
Okay.
before,
Well, we're gonna deal with him. That's what we're gonna do.
No.
Go ahead and come on out. Just everyone take a seat on the curb.
Who got stabbed?
I have no idea what's going on. Just sit on the curb for me, all right? Be cold.
Okay, who got stabbed? Okay, we want to know who got stabbed. Who got stabbed?
Okay, my friend called. Listen, I called.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So we're all hiding in here, obviously, for the
Okay.
piano.
Who got stabbed?
An old man. An old man that said to work here.
you guys see any of this altercation?
I've literally been in my studio and all of it. I've heard, close the door, lock the door, lock the door.
So nobody lives here, you're saying? I thought people lived here.
We work here. It's a 24-hour arts.
Oh, okay. You're an artist?
I'm the lease holder, I'm the owner of the business.
And it's an artist, art house, art.
We build stages, we put on events, we do a lot of different things.
What's the name of that? You got?
Yeah. And we've been trying to be a school, but all this negative stuff just keeps happening and happening and happening. Like, I've lost funding and it's just been horrible. And
Officials stated that
there ain't no damn art house.
They believed it to be a warehouse, and so they had nothing to close. For years, the partying went on. Locals must have been aware of what was going on and the people that were living in dodgy living spaces, but nothing was done, and it all led up to the night of December the 2nd, 2016. That night, the Ghost Ship was hosting an epic party, hosting performers from house music record label 100% Silka Concert. This party was actually one of the bigger events that was hosted in that warehouse, attracting around 80 to 100 attendees in the most cramped space imaginable. Despite this, they were all eager for a night of fun and partying. As night settled, guests funneled into the warehouse, and at first, everything was going well.
Damn.
Drinks were flowing, music was blasting, until approximately 11:20, the night of fun would spiral into a terrible nightmare. Around this time, a fire started somewhere in the northeast area of the ground floor, assumed to be caused by faulty electronics. This fire spread upwards quickly and was soon noticed by several partygoers. Patrons attempted to extinguish the initial fire using the fire extinguishers, but this proved futile. The flames weren't going out, and in a blink of an eye, the fire leapt across the walls, up to the ceiling, igniting everything in sight. Before they knew it, guests found themselves surrounded by flames, stuck in a hellish death trap. One survivor said that the building became an inferno within 5 seconds of spotting the fire, leaving people inside almost no time to escape. Guests began to flee in panic out of the warehouse's second floor. There were no fire alarms, no sprinklers, and no emergency lighting. Only thick, choking smoke and flames that spread faster than anyone could run. The building's 2 staircases that were leading up to the second floor also were now useless. One was hidden behind the stage, buried by, of course, furniture, and the other, the main way leading up and down, was made only from stacked wooden pallets built by the landlord. To make things worse, neither of the 2 stairways actually led to an exit. Rather, they just led to a horrible maze downstairs. It's a nightmare. Within moments of the fire starting, those pallets were gone entirely. As the lights inside failed, guests that were upstairs tried blindly groping their way towards the stairs. The majority that were quick made it down before the stairs burnt to a crisp, only to find themselves trapped in the dark, maze-like ground floor, blocked by all the junk. As many were being...
And that's what made this one even more of a tragedy tale being seen. The fact that, first of all, they should have never been up in here with this whole nightclub thing. Like Lively was asking, like, so wait, is it for housing and an unofficial club? Yes, they made it look like it was housing, but it really was an unofficial nightclub that they was running, that they never should have been running, and these people should have never been in. But it's the fact that when a tragedy tale happened with this whole freaking fire, there is no escaping. Like, there is no easy ways out. Like, these people are just going through just a terrible, like, situation right now where it's almost like they just stuck. They stuck. The fact that the one entrance had a stack of pallets by the owner, and for y'all that don't know what pallets are, I'm very familiar with pallets because I work around pallets every freaking day that I go to work. It's pallets everywhere. And pallets, I will say, are very flammable. They are made of wood, being seen. You know what I'm saying, man? So it's just such a terrible way to freaking go, man. And you get stuck in this situation, and there's really no way out. I also want to give a shout out to Stephanie, for another member of the Bean Team All-Stars that showed up and said, "Oh my God, I'm so late." Hey, Stephanie, you always can rewind. You always can rewind and go back in time and see what we have reacted to today. But I'm happy that you are here now. This is a nightmare trap. Yes, it is a nightmare trap that they in right now, Stephanie. And they really have no good ways of getting out. It's definitely a death trap.
Suffocated by smoke, guests struggled to find the exit right in the corner of the bottom floor. Firefighters reached the ghost ship at 11:27 p.m., under 3 minutes after the first 911 call, and by then, the building was already a total inferno. They didn't stand a chance. Firefighters crawled inside of their hands and knees to stay beneath the smoke. Unfortunately, they could see nothing. The thick, toxic air turned the inside into a black void. The firefighters just kept colliding with unseen obstacles in the cluttered maze. They could only zigzag forward about 20 feet before the heat and debris forced them to stop. A second crew tried another way in, but only made it 25 feet before they too had to halt. When they tried to get up to the second floor, they discovered that the pallet staircase was completely gone. Any survivors upstairs had no way down. 22 minutes after emergency crews arrived, the club was now just a ball of flame. It lit up the night sky as everyone lent a hand to help, tending to those injured and comforting those who had loved ones trapped inside.
It took about 15 seconds to go from notification of a fire to completely engulfed.
It was 11:32 p.m. when the first calls came in. Bob Muley, one of the lucky few to make it out, tried to rescue a man calling out for help.
I was pulling him out. He's a larger gentleman, and there was a lot of stuff in the way. The flames were too much. It's too much smoke, and I had to let him.
You believe he's still in there right now? He never made it out?
I haven't seen him, and there's been flames shooting out of the building for the past 30 minutes. So
I know.
I hope he's okay.
They tried their very best, but it was futile. Fire teams were ordered to pull out and fight the blaze from outside in what's called a surround and drown operation. 5 minutes after this, the roof began to crumble, and then most of the second floor collapsed soon after. It would take 52 firefighters and 14 fire engines until 4:36 a.m. to finally bring the fire under control.
Good Sunday morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And this is a solemn morning, a morning where we're still trying to understand the scope of the loss from this fire at a concert in Oakland, California, inside a dilapidated warehouse, which was known to hold parties. Firefighters working through the night, picking through debris from the burned out structure. A collapsed roof making the recovery effort slow and potentially dangerous.
At least 9 people killed. There are possibly dozens missing. This venue, a spot known as the Oakland Ghost Ship.
This Oakland warehouse and artist collective was erupting into an inferno, flames ripping through windows.
Panic, man. Panic. Total panic.
Firefighters could be seen breaking in with pickaxes, desperate to reach people trapped inside. Bob Muley was on the first floor and saw flames spread so fast he barely made it out.
By then, emergency crews who had worked all night were devastated. They had not been able to save a single person from inside the club. By the time the firefighters arrived, everyone that could escape already had. Anyone that was left inside at that point was already beyond saving. By the end of this whole ordeal, a terrible 36 people had lost their lives, aged between 17 and 61 years old, with just one of them being a resident from the ground floor. This makes it the deadliest fire in Oakland history and the most fatal building fire since the Station nightclub fire in Rhode Island in 2003, which claimed the lives of 100 people. The next day, search and rescue teams moved in, and the club was still smouldering. They first stabilized the wreckage to prevent it from caving in and worked to clear out the bodies. The debris was slowly removed from the club, and the last remains were recovered 3 days after the blaze. 7 victims were found upstairs, trapped by the smoke and the missing pallet staircase. The other 29 were found on the ground floor in the most horrifying and heartbreaking scene imaginable. Many were just feet away from the side exit that they just couldn't find in the dark. They were feet away from total safety. Some were found huddled together, some totally unburned. The official report confirmed that all the victims had died from smoke inhalation, unable to escape the inferno. News of this tragedy shattered the local community, and a makeshift memorial grew outside the warehouse with candles, flowers, and photos. Many demanded justice for a disaster that should and could have been prevented.
Yes, man, this should and could have been freaking prevented. And I seen that y'all said I was muted earlier, but all I was saying was when you look at the freaking footage of the rescue team coming to rescue the people, it's like it's too little too late, because anybody y'all coming to rescue at this point, they already dead. And I hate to say it like that, but it's just gotta be that's just the truth. That's just the long story short, story long. And not even if they just dying of freaking the flames. Not that. It's the inhalation of the freaking smoke and stuff. They can't breathe in this building. And it's so sad. And it goes all the way back to the very beginning of, at least, if you're going to be running this makeshift nightclub thingamajiggy, at least have a way where if something goes wrong, where people can at least be able to see where to go, where is the exits. Like there was no signs of exits or nothing for these people. Like this tragedy tale happened and they was just stuck and they didn't know what the freak to do or what a freak to go. Let's go. We almost done, y'all.
So we created something together, you know. This stopped being me. This wasn't about me 3 years ago. I signed a lease and I got a building that was to city standards, supposedly. And I was lured into something that I had to constantly...
Mr. Almona, it may have been a dream, and all of that may be true. You provided a space for some people to live, but according to the city, it was not under code. And we have someone who lived there, an artist who lived there for 2 years, Shelly Mack, and she said she rented a space from you, that you knew it was dangerous, that you profited from this and never spent a dime on anything but partying. What did you do to ensure this?
I mean, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about me. I don't want to talk about profiting. This is profit.
What can you tell me you did to ensure the safety of those people who live there?
I laid my 3 children down there every night.
We understand
profit?
that.
This is not profit. This is loss. This is a mass grave.
So for the families, can you...
I'm only here to say one thing, that I am incredibly sorry. And that everything that I did was to make this a stronger, more beautiful community and to bring people together. People didn't walk through those doors because it was a horrible place. People didn't seek us out to perform and express themselves because it was a horrible place.
Nobody
I'm 47 years old. I'm the father of this space.
Mr. Almona, no one is saying it was a
And on the
horrible place, but people are...
night of the fire, did I know there was going to be a fire? Did I remove my children from the space and get a hotel because I wanted to avoid this? Because I wanted to cast blame on other people? No, because I wanted to get a good night's sleep with my children.
Mr.
I wanted
Almona,
to let the young people do what they needed to do. I'm not going to answer these questions the way that you're presenting them.
Mr. Almona,
I didn't
obviously...
do anything ever in my life that would lead me up to this moment.
Can I ask you if
I'm an honorable man. I'm a proud man. No, I'm not going to answer these questions on this level.
Are you worried that
I
you
would
will
rather
be
get on the
charged?
floor and be trampled by the parents. I'd rather let them tear at my flesh than answer these ridiculous questions.
Mr. Almona,
I'm so sorry. I'm incredibly sorry. What do you want me to say? I'm not going to answer these questions.
Then we will call
I'm just
this...
going to say that I am sorry.
Then we'll end the
If
interview
you have
there,
to hold
Mr.
my
Almona.
soul accountable, if you have to hold my soul accountable for believing in something,
Well, we appreciate your
and
time this
luring
morning.
in other artists and other beautiful people that also believed with me. And for
And
3
we
years,
will
we built
continue
something
to
every
follow
day,
this
and we
story and its
improved
developments. Derek Almana.
Thank you
Mr.
for your
Almana,
time.
thanks for your time.
Bean Team, how y'all feel about that? I believe that he is sorry for what happened. I believe that he didn't want that to happen. But I gotta say, at the end of the day, bro, regardless of all that, you still gotta be held accountable for what freaking happened. You know what I'm saying? You can shed tears now, but those tears didn't have to be shed if you was running this nightclub the way you're supposed to been running it. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you are the cause of a lot of lives being lost, and you gotta be held accountable for that. God Dag says, bruh, he's acting delusional. Yeah, hey. He says the questions he's been asked are ridiculous. Yet he's the one being ridiculous. Great freaking point. Like, dude, that like, how could these questions be ridiculous when it's lives that are lost? I'm not gonna go too far into it. Diana says the impact matters more than his intentions. Yes, at the end of the day, bro, you gotta look at what actually happened. I know you probably didn't intend for this to happen, but it did. And whose fault is that? It's yours. You're a grown man. You gotta be held accountable. It's his fault, Stephanie says. He could be mad, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Diana says he knew it was risky and kept going. That's on him. Little girl says he is to go to jail and be put to death. Little girl want to give him the death penalty. Hey, little girl, you can make a valid argument that I will listen to. And at the end of the day, if I was a part of the jury, I may freaking agree with you. At least I will say this: we'll give him at least life in prison. Hey, little girl, we at least gonna probably agree on that point. Now, you can convince me maybe of the death penalty, especially when you look at how many lives that he caused. But all I'm saying is, man, you gotta be held accountable, man. Little girl say he is a liar. Livy says, has he not heard of the stories just like this? Like, come on. Yeah, like he trying to like act like he's the only, like he's just the first one. He the only one. This is the first time this ever happened. Oh me. He is kind of playing the pity story in this case. Inflow death penalty in all capital letters. Inflow. If it's me, you, and little girl in the jury, you know what I'm saying, and we got the decision to make, y'all probably could convince me to go and give him the death penalty. Little girl said, just shut up. Stephanie says, dang, Inflow. Hey, Steph, your sister, she ain't playing. She like, look, go on, give him the death penalty. And like I said, she probably could convince me of that. Diana says, we all saw the video at the start. There's no way he thought it was safe. I know, right, Diana? You brought up something that I had forgot about. That whole video at the start of just how terrible and nasty and just not safe for humans this place was. Bro, what you thought was going to happen at some point. Let's go.
If you have anything to say to them.
They're my children. They're my friends. They're my family. They're my loves. They're my future. What else do I have to say?
Officials started their investigation swiftly, and they discovered that the building, owned by a woman named Chor Ning, allegedly knew about the condition of the warehouse, but was not aware of what else was going on there. Obviously, Derek, who had rented it from this woman and created the nightclub above, had no permits for residential use or public events. There was no fire safety whatsoever, even for the residents living underneath the club. Officials later discovered that the building was illegally hooked up to the grid. To make things worse, fire inspectors had not inspected the building in more than 30 years, partly because it was officially classified as a warehouse, not a residential or business space. The building was the definition of hell on earth, the definition of a fire trap. There was no adequate means of escape. It was truly not suitable for humans in general. Nobody should have been living there, and nobody should have been partying there. Police even visited on a previous occasion and entered through the bottom floor. Police officers noted dangerous electrics, warning Derek of the risk of fires, but he ignored their advice.
I don't feel comfortable climbing up there. Let's just make it quick. All right. Is this even stable?
Oh yeah. I'll be so worried about all the electrical wires.
Due to all of this, a criminal investigation was started and lawsuits against him began to be raised. Shortly after the tragedy, Derek and his assistant Max Harris were arrested and charged with 36 counts of involuntary manslaughter. During Derek's testimony in July of 2019, when asked was he the one to blame, he expressed remorse, saying that he instigated something, he built something, he dreamed something, and that ultimately he was responsible for having the idea. Spiritually and morally, he was responsible for it. Ultimately, years after the tragedy, Derek was finally sentenced to 12 years in prison via a plea deal for the 36 counts of involuntary manslaughter. However, with credit for time served as well as good behavior, when he was finally sentenced, mainly due to COVID, the judge ordered that he spend the remainder of it at home, that was just 18 months, under house arrest with his family. At the time of saying this, his punishment is already over. Well, yeah.
Fuck? What the? Let me not do it, Bean Team. I'm not finna crash. I'm not finna go there with y'all. Nope, we at the end of the live stream. I'm not finna do this with y'all, man. Are you fucking kidding me? This man got 3 years and he didn't even spend the whole 3 years, even though the 3 years ain't nothing. But he didn't even spend that. He at home chilling with his family doing COVID on house arrest. Hell, during COVID, all our asses was on house arrest. Could none of us go outside any fucking way. I'm still doing it with y'all. No, this is fucking crazy. All these people who died. And this would make it even crazier. He got charged with 37 counts of manslaughter. 37, and that's all he gets? What kind of world do we live in? What is this? I got to squeeze my face. Is this life? This is life.
As he had served years in prison leading up to this sentence, just 18 months at home for the deaths of 36 innocent people seems absolutely bonkers. Max Harris, the one who was organizing the parties upstairs, the so-called creative director, was eventually acquitted as he had no control over the building's condition or safety measures. In the years that followed, many lawsuits were brought against the city of Oakland, the building's owners, and others tied to the ghost ship. In July 2020, the city of Oakland agreed to $32.7 million US settlement, with $9.2 million of that going to survivor Sam Maxwell, who was left with horrible lifelong injuries. The rest of the settlement, $23.5 million, was divided amongst the families of the 32 victims. That November, 12 former residents of the warehouse received a total of around $400,000 in compensation. The property's actual owners later received a $12 million settlement funded by their insurance and real estate sales, and this was also split amongst the victims and those injured. But while these various payouts provided some financial relief to those affected, many people saw them as a poor substitute for the justice and prevention of what should have happened before the fire. If you've ever watched any of these events turn fatal, I've said before that you never know when you walk into an establishment or a nightclub, whatever it may be, that officials have actually thought or cared about your safety. But in this case, that saying just doesn't really hold true. This wasn't a hidden danger. It was a huge, giant red flag that should have been so obvious to everyone involved, but I guess it wasn't. From the dodgy entrances and pallet staircases to the total lack of fire safety and the insane makeshift apartments that were crammed below, this was a deadly accident just waiting to happen. One that could have been easily stopped if anyone in power had enforced even the most basic safety laws. But as is usual with these kind of cases, it slipped through the net, or as many believed, was deliberately ignored. In my opinion, 36 people died not just because of one man's negligence, but because an entire system looked the other way. But that is the end of the video. May all those featured rest in peace. Wowzers, trousers. This one was absolutely shocking, as they always are. Starting at the top, we've got the air show that ended in fatality in Saldanha. I'm no pilot, but it seems that there was many mistakes made here, and to be made by a veteran pilot of 36 years is a bit odd, and it does make you wonder why he didn't even try to eject before impacting the ground. I think that James was just busy showing off for the crowd. I mean, he is at an air show. He was focusing more on what he looked like from the ground than what was actually safe to fly. I'm just glad that nobody else was injured or killed. Then we've got Nodar, who lost his life on a practice run for the Olympics. Mate, I can't even imagine what his family must have felt hearing this news and then seeing the footage plastered all across the news and media. They would have been expecting a call or message from him to say what medal he got and what place he came. Instead, all they got was the news that he'd lost his life. Not even in the Olympics, just in a training run. It's just terrible. The gold medalist giving his medal to Nodar's parents really got to me. It just shows that, in general, this is all just games, and the ones that are important are the people that are taking place in them.
Yeah.
Talking about getting to me, the parade that turned into horror. Holy moly. Now, I hadn't heard about this case, and I saw the clip of the impact before hearing the details, and I also believe that she must have been drunk, or maybe on drugs or something. It turns out that she was apparently completely fine. A judge ordered that she was fine to stand trial, so it just leaves one question. Why did she do it? Was she really experiencing a mental health crisis, or did she just want to kill someone that day? Honestly, I don't know. So I'm interested in what you guys think below. Then we've got the football game in South Africa that killed 43 people. This one just really saddened me. I know it was almost 25 years ago, but football is supposed to just be a fun game. Nobody should lose their lives in the most horrible way imaginable, being crushed under the weight of just so many people that the air is literally forced out of your lungs and there's no way to inhale. It's true horror, and I really wouldn't wish this on anyone, not even my worst enemy. Nope. Seeing the clips of CPR being performed, all while crowds cheered and chanted, watching the game, it just turned my stomach. Honestly, I have no words for this. Is it just when you enter a stadium, you lose all sense of care for human life? Does the game really matter that much? I'm not a football fan, but I don't think it does. And last, but certainly not least, the ghost ship fire. This was totally avoidable, and I said this before, but it's got to be one of the most shocking cases that I've covered in a while. While sometimes in these cases, they make mistakes or they fail to maintain the buildings, and it leads to a deadly tragedy, in this case, the landlord did not care. He wanted money, and he didn't care about safety at all. Not for the residents living there or attending the club. I'm sure he was profiting very nicely by subletting the warehouse and selling drinks and God knows what else upstairs. But even with all this profit, he couldn't even be asked to build a proper staircase or implement any fire safety measures, leading to the worst fire since the Station nightclub. Now, I stand with the victims here, and I say that this was a total injustice. The landlord didn't even really get a proper sentence. Yeah, I know he had served time before his case, but that was before he was even sentenced. He should never be held under house arrest. It doesn't make any sense. What is this world coming to, where you can be the one responsible for nearly 40 deaths and just serve your sentence at home? But, most importantly, what did you guys think of this one? As you guys know, I try and read each and every comment, and while that is getting pretty difficult these days, I am keeping up. So, I am genuinely interested in what you guys thought of this one below. Just before I go, if you appreciate this kind of content and you want to see it totally uncensored, uncut, and ad-free, why don't you go and check out the Patreon linked in the description below. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean excess gore, just how my videos were always meant to be watched. So if you're interested in that, check it out below. Oh, and while you're down there, if you're not subbed, why are you not subbed yet? Go ahead and tap that sub button to be alerted when I release content such as this. But I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Oh man, from Tragedy Tales, Ryan from Tragedy Tales being teamed with another great video. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh girl, oh girl, oh girl, oh girl. Man, listen, that one right there. it had a lot of different stories that was just so freaking crazy, and I don't want to go. Even though I'm saying I don't want to go back through them, I'm still going scrolling through them, as y'all can see. But I'm not gonna go back through them, being team. I feel like, man, I have gave enough opinions on them. That last one pissed me off so fucking bad, man. Just the sentencing of that dude. It is so freaking ridiculous. We have been here for over 3 hours, y'all. I appreciate y'all coming on back. It's always big team. And before you leave, just please, 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 please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And remember this. Love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.